Si estás viendo esta transmisión del Casino del Tío Salo, tengo que decirte, lo lograste, güey, es viernes, llegamos al viernes, es fin de semana. En Estados Unidos estamos celebrando el 4 de julio, que todo el mundo sabemos es exactamente la fecha que Will Smith nos salvó de los extraterrestres. Entonces celebramos nuestra independencia de los extraterrestres por acá en Estados Unidos. Buena película, ¿eh? Me la aventé ayer con Belén, la de Independence Day. Tiene todos los estereotipos americanos del planeta. Es literalmente arte. Y gran trabajo de Will Smith con todos esos one-liners, ¿no? Tenemos un episodio del Casino del Tío Salo. Los mercados están cerrados el día de hoy, los bancos están cerrados el día de hoy, pero vamos a hacerlo sobre criptomonedas. Vamos a analizar todo lo que tenga un setup listo, puesto y directo para todos ustedes para poder aprovechar con estos trades. Fin de semana, tengo que decir que normalmente los movimientos asquerosos, deliciosos de Bitcoin y de las criptos viene cuando todo el mundo está poniéndose pedo y menos se le espera. Lo sé porque me agarró en el 2021, por ahí de mi cumpleaños, fue justamente en mi cena de cumpleaños que el mercado dio ese plomazo para abajo. Así que lo sabe perfecto cripto. Cuando el tío Salo se está poniendo borracho, cripto va a hacer sus cosas. Así que tenemos que preplanear nuestros movimientos para este fin de semana. Y ahorita Alex y Parja nos van a decir cómo están viendo todo el mercado y yo se los voy a traducir como siempre, pero una vez más, solo cripto y solamente cosas que tengan setups listos para poder hacer algo y aprovechar estas oportunidades. Con eso dicho y hecho, quiero platicar rápido con ustedes. Güey, sigo con la cabeza volada de lo que acaba de hacer Estados Unidos con el Genius Act y de las criptomonedas. Acuérdense que el problema más grande que tiene Estados Unidos el día de hoy que te dicen todos tus pacos es la expansión de deuda. ¿Y por qué? Hay dos cosas, hay dos factorcillos por ahí que afectan a la gente la expansión de deuda. Uno, si continúan aumentando la deuda a un nivel muy acelerado, tenemos inflación. Pero tengo que decirles esto, de acuerdo al Genius Act, de acuerdo al Big Beautiful Bill de Donald Trump que acaba de pasar con colores, no, con flying colors, no sé cómo se dice en español, no tenemos nada que preocuparnos por ahí. ¿Por qué? Porque eso va de acuerdo al gasto normal de Estados Unidos. Cuando te tienes que preocupar es cuando escuches que van a regalarle a la gente $2,000 sentada en su casa y cuando a dueños de empresas les den 100,000 o 1,000,000 o 10 millones de dólares solamente porque sí. Ahí es cuando te tienes que preocupar. Por ahora, la expansión de deuda a este ritmo después de la gran expansión de COVID, honestamente ha sido común como la de antes. Y lo único que están intentando manejar para todos ustedes es simplemente cuánto más deuda pueden crear para poder continuar con lo que Estados Unidos ha hecho a través del tiempo. No crean que está cambiando el modelo. Es muy importante entender eso, porque el modelo no está cambiando. El modelo es, Estados Unidos está haciendo lo posible para poder ser el güey que gasta irresponsablemente, ¿ok? Y lo que acaban de crear es una manera de que su cuenta de la tarjeta de crédito que están gastando irresponsablemente, todo el mundo la tenga que pagar, menos ellos, que todo el mundo la compre. Esto es lo genio y por eso se llama el Genius Act, en mi opinión, porque es una movida absolutamente brutalmente genia. Ahora, para todos los que se preguntan, el problema uno es justamente estos problemas de inflación que, de acuerdo a mi persona, no los vamos a ver por ahora. El segundo problema que tenemos es expansión de deuda y lo que más te venden los pacos, ¿no? Lo que están diciendo todos. ¿Quién va a comprar la deuda de Estado? Siempre me tengo que ir a los españoles porque ya honestamente casi no puedo verlo, pero eran las únicas fuentes de información que veía. Entonces, tío, eh, te dicen Donald Trump y Putin, Trump, Putin, 8 de la mañana, se viene, la fotografía viene debajo de mis pantalones, donde Trump coloca sobre la mesa su pene y hace que toda la deuda desaparezca. Y ahora todo lo que ellos te están diciendo en este momento es quién va a comprar la deuda de Estados Unidos. La gente tiene la cabeza lavada a tal grado que no entienden que, por ejemplo, por más que estés viendo en este momento, y es por eso que soy tan alcista en este trade que está a punto de ocurrir, y creo que mi penúltima entrada en los pesos está ocurriendo o estaba ocurriendo ayer, no sé, tengo que checar todo. Les dije 18.50 para mí va a ser mi penúltima entrada y espero por ahí de los 18 la última para salirme del peso y de ahí tiene que repuntar una vez más el dólar. Y ahorita todo el mundo está viendo eso, está viendo que el peso está ganando terreno, está viendo que el euro está ganando terreno, está viendo que la libra está ganando terreno, está viendo que el yen está ganando terreno y que el dólar se está hundiendo. Brother, qué bárbaro se está hundiendo el dólar. Y todo el mundo cree que es porque la gente está dejando de usar los dólares. Esto es un mito gigantesco. No puedo explicar lo grande que es. El uso del dólar continúa subiendo a través del tiempo. Es así de fácil. Y el uso del euro, no les estoy diciendo yo que yo creo, estos son datos, bueno, datos que nos dan, ¿no? No les voy a decir reales, pero son datos dados por la gente que todo el mundo considera reales, ¿ok? Y en estos datos el dólar está ganando terreno y el euro está cayendo literalmente mucho más, no es mucho más, pero más de 5% en circulación mundial. Y ahora, por supuesto que los bancos centrales están comprando oro, pero también tienen ¿cómo se dice? Puta madre, sus balanzas las tienen también con dólares. Eso está siendo sustituido por el oro, pero transacciones, y para mí no hay nada que tenga más valor que transaccional, ¿ok? ¿Por qué? Porque lo que quieres es volumen de transacciones. Tienen que ver el dinero un poco como lo ven en cripto, es más fácil verlo así. Ve cómo Solana, solamente por tener una gran cantidad de transacciones, pudo incrementar su valor al doble del bull run pasado, pero como si fuera nada. ¿Por qué? Por la cantidad de transacciones. Ethereum ahora va a traer esto, ¿ok? Eh, y la razón por la que lo digo es, les están diciendo que el dólar se va a ir, que ahorita que estamos muy cerca, si no es que ya tocamos fondo, yo creo que no, yo creo que tiene que haber un momento más de terror en el mercado, donde todo el mundo crea que de verdad el dólar se va a ir a cero, que por cierto está bastante alto todavía dentro de la tendencia, pero bueno, todo el mundo con sus ideas. Todo eso es palo. Y una de las cosas en la que se recargan a venderle a la gente es, güey, el final del dólar y nadie quiere comprar su deuda ya nadie la quiere comprar y siguen emitiendo deuda. Eso también es mentira ahora con el Genius Act, ¿ok? Y les voy a explicar por qué. ¿Quién compra la deuda de Estados Unidos? Lo sabemos todos. Países, ¿no? Japón, China es el que tiene más deuda de Estados Unidos, que no es cierto tampoco, me parece que es Japón. Eh, Etcétera, ¿no? Lo compran los países, lo compran fondos gigantescos, BlackRock, Vanguard, tu fondo favorito, ¿no? Blackstone o Whitestone o Whitecock, ¿no? ¿Cómo soy pendejo, de verdad? También lo compran empresas e individuos con mucho dinero. Entonces, pero las más grandes tenedores son, también aseguradoras. Las aseguradoras hacen una gran cantidad de dinero también con esa gestión de sus bonos. Entonces, tienes primero a los países, de ahí tienes a los fondos más gigantescos, de ahí tienes a las aseguradoras y de ahí tienes a privados, etcétera. Todos esos son los que compran la deuda de Estados Unidos. El problema de Estados Unidos es que los demás países dejaron de comprar esa deuda. Entonces, ahora qué es exactamente quién va a comprar esta deuda de Estados Unidos? Es la pregunta del millón, porque todo el mundo, eso es lo que meten todo el miedo en. Y con el Genius Act que acaban de pasar con lo de los stablecoins, literalmente cada que alguien emite una moneda estable, tiene que tener colateral, puede ser en bonos, puede ser dinero, etcétera, pero van a ser los bonos porque es lo más inteligente. Y eso es básicamente cómo funciona Tether. Pero ahora esto lo están llevando a bancos como JP Morgan Chase, ya lo hemos platicado, lo están llevando a empresas gigantescas como Amazon, Meta, Google, etcétera, y cualquier tipo de cualquiera de estas instituciones que maneja un volumen gigantesco. Ahora, tenemos 37 trillones de dólares en deuda ya emitida y esa deuda está la gran mayoría colocada bastante bien sin problema. Normalmente el problema que deberíamos de lidiar con es la nueva emisión, ¿ok? Ahora, eso va a ser muy fácil, demasiado fácil, pero si queremos arreglar el problema de los 37, también se va a poder a través del tiempo. Tengo que hacer una nota porque todo el mundo espera que todo esto pase en un año o en 2 semanas, ¿no? Normalmente toda la gente espera que todo pase muy rápido, como lo de las CBDCs. Van a venir las CBDCs y nos van a quitar el cash en un día. No, no va a pasar así, está pasando todo eso. Y esto es lo mismo. No va a desaparecer el problema en un día, bueno, el problema, pero ya fue resuelto. ¿Y cómo lo están resolviendo? Les había dicho, y esto es lo que más se me hizo interesante de todo esto, ¿ok? Ahí les va. Ayer estaba platicando con Ro en Emprendeduros para el podcast que va a salir ahorita. Y le digo, güey, de 37 trillones tienes 18 trillones en depósitos. Y luego le digo, y las empresas también van a, ¿cómo se llama? A tener sus propias tenencias. Y me dice, sí, pero ese dinero viene de los bancos. Me quedé así de, ok, entonces solamente tenemos 18 trillones. Pero no, es incorrecto, es completamente estúpido que no haya pensado instantáneamente en esto. Ahí les va. Porque estamos hablando de 18 trillones en depósitos líquidos, ¿ok? Los bancos, más allá de eso, en instrumentos y otras cosas, tienen más dinero y ahorita vamos a ir a ello. Entonces, 18 trillones que tienes en todos los bancos de Estados Unidos pueden ser cambiados de la noche a la mañana este sistema. El incentivo va a ser transacciones más baratas porque vas a eliminar a Visa, Mastercard, American Express de todos los de ser intermediarios y estás hablando de precios bajar literalmente. Entonces, esto va a ser ofrecido como descuentos. Güey, ¿quieres comprar cosas en descuentos? Lo único que tienes que hacer es cambiar tu dinero a dólares digitales. Te van a dar uno a uno. Vas a comprar $1 digital de tu banco, ¿no? Da igual. Ok, tenemos la posibilidad entonces de absorber 18 trillones de dólares en ese papel, en esa deuda. Ahora, ¿de dónde vamos a sacar más dinero, Alejandro? Prepárense. El mercado de bienes raíces vale en total en Estados Unidos 50 trillones de dólares. Y muchos me van a decir, sí, pero no es líquido. Pero poco a poco, gente compra y vende casas. Y cuando estés haciendo esas transacciones, todas esas transacciones también van eventualmente a ser convertidas a monedas estables. Sobre todo cuando empiecen a dar monedas, hipotecas con monedas estables, etcétera, ya literalmente va a ser prime. Entonces tienes otros 50 trillones. Ya con eso eliminaste el problema de los 37, ¿no? Pero vamos a continuar. ¿Saben cuánto dinero hay en acciones de Estados Unidos? 48 trillones. 46 o 48 trillones. Perdón si me equivoco por 2 trillones. Pero ahí estás hablando de 120 trillones, casi, entre solamente estas cosas. Ahora, ¿qué tenemos que tomar en cuenta? Que también transaccional es importante, porque si queremos deshacernos de Visa y Mastercard y American Express para poder bajar precios como lo va a hacer Amazon, X, Meta, etcétera, ¿qué quiere decir esto? Esto quiere decir que los flujos a través de todas estas entidades van a crear más de esto. Ahora, ¿cuáles son estos flujos? Porque estamos hablando de justamente volumen, ¿no? Ahí les va. Mastercard y Visa combinados al año, tienen un flujo de 20 trillones de dólares. Y ahora, esos son los mismos dólares. Puede que yo te dé $100, tú me des $20, yo te regrese $10. Eso cuenta, esas son transacciones, ¿ok? Pero todo ese dinero, todas esas transacciones tienen que ser en monedas estables eventualmente porque van a tener beneficios, ¿no? Es muy inteligente. Entonces tienes esos 20 trillones en transacciones. ¿Saben cuánto dinero mueve Amazon? Gross, estamos hablando gross, de todo el dinero antes de profits al año, 680 mil millones de dólares. Meta, ¿cuánto era? Creo que eran 160, 140 mil millones de dólares. Google, 360, 350 mil millones de dólares. Y ahí es donde podemos ver cómo todo este problema va a ser absorbido por ellos. Importante para todos ustedes, este problema acabándose, simplemente va a dejar que todo continúe siendo como ha sido hasta ahora, sin esa gran inflación, a menos de que impriman un chingo de dinero, ¿ok? Todo lo que todo el mundo está diciendo es de, ahora se viene la gran impresión. Algo definitivamente va a pasar, algo bla, 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 pero no tiene absolutamente cara ni necesidad. Esto los tiene en la mierda todos y no es como que al gobierno le importa que todos ustedes estén en la mierda. ¿O sí? ¿Alguien de aquí cree que el gobierno es de, uy, la ciudadanía está muy mal, deberíamos de darles dinero? No, siempre y cuando ellos puedan continuar imprimiendo deuda y robándosela, que es el problema en general de todo esto, que es lo que les digo. Deberíamos de despedir a todos los políticos y quitarlos de ahí porque podríamos aprovechar y usar el dinero mucho mejor, más eficiente y sin crear este tipo de escenarios estúpidos donde beneficie más a la comunidad, a la gente que vive en esa nación, pero en vez están haciendo su misma mamada. La misma mamada va a continuar para adelante. Lo brillante es que solucionaron el problema que tenía esa mamada para seguir continuando. Listo, te lo arreglaron y te lo vendieron, pero en una caja divina, cabrón, divina. Es la caja de las criptomonedas. Ahora, aquí en la caja de las criptomonedas te venden la idea de que las monedas estables son que las monedas estables son el caballo de Troya para Bitcoin. Pero Bitcoin es el caballo de Troya para las monedas estables, para lo que entiendan. Y ahora, esto no quiere decir que Bitcoin va a bajar de precio, esto no quiere decir que Bitcoin se va a hacer. No, Bitcoin es su propia cosa, que no es lo que todo el mundo piensa, porque la narrativa del mismo ha cambiado desde el 2012. Si eres un holder de Bitcoin en el 2012, 2014, 2017, lo que está pasando hoy te parecería una aberración, pero han cambiado la percepción de todo el mundo. Lo padre de Bitcoin es que solamente hay 21 millones de monedas. Es lo más chido y todos decidimos, esto tiene valor. Entonces, eso es un lugar bastante seguro para ir a buscar adquirir valor a través del tiempo y sobre todo entendiendo que Michael Saylor y las empresas grandes lo están comprando, va a continuar esa tendencia a largo plazo. Obviamente va a tener correcciones, va a ser lo mismo de todo el tiempo. Pero Bitcoin no es oficialmente la salvación de nada, porque a fin de cuentas la gente dice, no, es que es descentralizado, no te sirve de nada, o sea, ¿qué beneficios tienes? ¿No? Porque si quieres mandar dinero, la otra vez tuve que pagar una cuenta, no era ni tanto dinero, era como 60, $70,000 en Bitcoin, y me marcan, ¿no? De Coinbase, oye, brother, ¿para qué? ¿A quién le estás mandando este dinero antes de que lo aprobemos y no sé qué? Entonces, no, igualito que el banco, igualito que el banco, y solamente estás mandando cantidades pequeñas y te la hacen de pedo como si estuvieras mandando cientos de millones de dólares, igualito que en un banco. Entonces, sáquenselo de la cabeza. Vamos a hacer dinero con cripto. ¿Cómo vamos a hacer dinero con cripto? Apostando dónde va el volumen. Hasta ahora Ethereum parece ser el mayor beneficiario de todo esto. Todo el mundo me está sacando, oye, lo del ISO 20 y no sé qué, y que Ripple se va a hacer un banco. Bien, tenemos que ver, y no estoy descartando nada de eso, ni tampoco a Solana ni nada. Tenemos que ver qué instituciones se van a montar en dónde. Por ahora, las mejores y las más fuertes que tienen más volumen están en Ethereum en L2, en la L2 de Base, que es Coinbase, y en la L2 de Arbitrum, ¿no? Que es Arbitrum. Y por ahora es lo que estamos viendo. Adelante, que van a anunciar que Solana va a hacer esto y que sí, total, pero todo el valor de esas monedas va a depender, en mi opinión, de todo el volumen de transacciones, de cuánta liquidez logren absorber en esas cadenas para poder transaccionar. Porque ellas, lo tienes que ver, va a ser tu nuevo Mastercard y tu nuevo Visa con fees mucho más bajos. Pero a fin de cuentas estás moviendo volumen de dinero. Entonces, si quieres apostar a algo, ahí es donde tienes que empezar a ver y a fijar tus ojos. No te estoy diciendo que ya ahorita, solamente porque estás comprando Ethereum, va solamente a subir. Porque normalmente lo que hacen estos hijos de puta es te sueltan toda la información, el precio viene bajo, tú crees que ya la libraste, sube, sube, sube y te bajan los pantalones para que creas, ok, esto ya nunca más va a volver a subir. Estaba mal la teoría del imbécil que vi, que tiene los lentes y el flequito. Y después sube. Así que no te estoy diciendo que por el amor de Dios compres Ethereum el día de hoy, te estoy diciendo, velo, haz tus análisis. Ustedes saben, yo qué puta madre sé, ustedes pueden hacer un análisis mucho mejor que el mío. Así que vayan a hacer sus análisis y de ahí véanlo. Pero inteligente, muy cabrón en Estados Unidos. Y también con esto quiero, más allá de que siempre queremos aprovechar, apuntar dónde podemos beneficiarnos, sacar dinero del mercado, que son estas movidas, también quiero decir que los pacos con su mensaje de que la deuda en Estados Unidos es un problema, que viene nueva inflación. Como les dije, no viene nueva inflación y no ha habido. También les digo, no va a haber problemas con la deuda ya, literalmente a no sé cuántas décadas para adelante. Ahora, esto no lo resuelve por completo, pero el problema que todo el mundo está fijo, que están volviéndose locos con, ya no existe. La deuda va a ser adquirida por nosotros mismos, los beneficios se los van a llevar los bancos y las empresas gigantescas y al mismo tiempo tú con descuentos en transacciones. Es todo lo que quiero que sepa para que no me los vuelvan locos, cabrones. Les mando un fuerte abrazo, vámonos al casino para hacer esto. Y recuerden, estamos tradeando sabroso, pero también esto sirve para poder invertir a largo plazo y me ha ayudado a otro nivel. Así que quiero que ustedes también se beneficien y es más, no tienen que hacer nada. Lo único que quiero que hagan es que estén aquí con nosotros aprendiendo estas horas que estemos por acá. No sé si me puedo aventar todas las 4 horas hoy. Me están cambiando los lentes, cambió mi visión, por supuesto. Por eso ahora tengo los lentes otra vez. Unos dolores de cabeza de no mames. Así que vamos a ver cuánto aguanta este viejito. Pero por ahora voy a traerles a Alex y a Farhan. Y también quiero invitarlos a todos que si no se han unido a nuestro Discord, que es absolutamente gratis, ¿qué están esperando, tíos? Tíos, ¿qué es lo que están esperando? 8 de la mañana viene Putin y viene Putin. Trump, Putin, Putin, Trump. Tenemos aquí en la izquierda todos los menús del Discord. Aquí está en la descripción de abajo por lo que necesiten. Vamos a ver los análisis de Alex también, los tiene por acá. Los análisis de Farhan también andan por acá. De ahí, dense una vuelta a nuestro chat general, mejor lugar para poder encontrar otros puntos de vista, ver cómo todo el mundo está viendo el mercado. Vengan también a ver Criptolingo. Hay muchas cosas de las que platicamos que la gente se queda un poco perdida con ciertos términos o ciertas cosas que tienen abreviación que no ven. Aquí están. Ahora, ¿quieres hablar el lenguaje de cripto? Tienes que aprender, cabrón. Tienes que aprender a tradear. No hay de otra. O apréndelo con cursos gratis en línea que puedas ver si es que encuentras todos los correctos, o ve el nuestro, $29.99, cabrón. 29, Les juro por mi vida no voy a comprar otro McLaren 29.99 por 100 personas que lo compren. Se lo recomiendo mucho porque a fin de cuentas lo único que quieres hacer es hablar nuestro lenguaje cuando estemos haciendo esto por 4 horas y con eso simplemente mojarte de todo y ya con eso estás del otro lado. Ven a compartir también tus ganancias, tus pérdidas con nosotros, como de que no. Aquí lo tenemos, nada mal, nada mal. Quiero ver, está Tomatito por acá. Espérame, me doy una vuelta hasta abajo. ¿Qué tenemos por acá? Efraín se llevó un 141%, güey, 150% en short, hijo de puta. Me encanta ver trades de degenerados, pero honestamente no se lo recomiendo a nadie. Doy 190 en short. Qué locura, pero es que sí, los porcentajes de ganancia que puede ser, pero también de pérdida, o sea, puedes perder toda tu lana, aunque es una buena apuesta. Es una apuesta divertida, honestamente. También lo que necesitan, aquí está, tenemos nuestros enlaces oficiales, tenemos nuestro torneo de trading en BTCC. Cáiganle hasta $60,000 en premios. Faltan 11 días y 2 horas y vamos a ver si hemos pasado de 40 participantes. Ah, ya hay 45. Güey, 45 personas se están dividiendo el chance a ganarse esto. Y aquí abajo les pone exactamente cómo dividen los premios, ¿ok? Para que no les vean la cara. Esto es gratis, lo único que tienes que hacer es picarle aquí abajo a nuestro enlace de BTCC, que es un exchange de futuros, donde también puedes tradear acciones. Mi favorito, porque las acciones es como robarle dinero a un niño con un machete. Honestamente, es bastante sencillo. También, si quieren aprender cómo tradear en esos exchanges de futuro, esto es gratis. Vengan a nuestro sitio. Aquí abajo está el Trading Academy US. Le picas en tutos, tío. Te metes acá, cómo tradear en Bluffing. Bluffing y BTCC es lo mismo, solamente en BTCC también tienes acciones tokenizadas, también tienes el petróleo, tienes Forex. Acá solamente son criptos en Bluffing. ¿Ves esto? Es idéntica el flow de todo y de cómo mandar dinero, cómo recibirlo, cómo moverlo dentro de tus cuentas, cómo abrir un corto, cómo abrir un long. Todo eso aquí en 5 minutos estás armado, listo. Solamente le picas acá para irte a registrar y participar en todos nuestros torneos y tener todos los beneficios de Elite Trading Academy en esto. Sin más ni más, les voy a traer a Alex, les voy a traer a Farhan. Vamos a empezar esto con Bitcoin. Vamos a dedicarnos solamente a criptomonedas con setups potentes. Así que chat, no crean que los vamos a estar ignorando. Simplemente queremos ir lo más rápido posible a través de estas. My boys, good morning.
Buenos días, muchachos. How you guys doing?
You look much better. How are you?
I'm feeling great now. Feeling much more improved. Spirits are up. Feeling good.
Who would have thought so? How are you, Alex?
Always good. Doing very well.
Oh, good for you. Being young must be amazing. My fucking eyes are killing me. Killing me. Show me that Bitcoin, and then we'll dive into other shit that has some setups. Señores, I'm excited.
Let's check it out.
Muy emocionado.
Muy emocionado, is right. Fuck. The Bitcoin. What's been going on with this piece of shit, Chinese Bitcoin?
Yeah, the Chinese Bitcoin starting to go down a bit, but it's all good. You know, even if you're the most bullish MF, it just makes sense to get a pullback around here. But let's talk about it because, you know, I've been going on with this idea of a pullback around this region. Seems like we're starting to get that. Let's digest this and see really closely what we can really see on Bitcoin. Because while the masses get extremely bullish, while it honestly seems very obvious to make a new all-time high at this point, there's always little things in the charts that can always tell us something's different, or in that regard, not something's different, but just maybe the masses aren't going to be right. And so what we have so far is a nice rejection from that 109.3 to essentially 110.3 200 zone. It's very crucial to understand that in this chop created a nice wedge. We're towards the end of it. Now we know a few things. We know that Bitcoin generally does like to do fake outs. You had one here. You very well could have one here. Another thing is we identified yesterday when I went live something super dirty on Bitcoin that made me honestly even more bearish. What we had was a nice move up. And this is funny because I thought this had taken out the high. If we go and we really backtrack this, what occurred here? Well, we had a higher low. Cool. We had a higher high. This in theory should have been the last higher low. This became a lower high before coming down, making another just wick high rejection. This is the last lower high, in my opinion, before making that lower low. This here confirmed we are now in a 5-day downtrend. And then we had a very obvious bounce from the 21. We talked about 99.8. It was very obvious. We bounced nicely. And then here we are. Everyone's bullish again. But what occurred on that wick high rejection when we went up to that 110,600? Well, you actually never took this high out. This high is 110,617. This one was 110,598. So in my idea, technically then Bitcoin has to be topped, because if you go any higher than that, you're going to trend shift this back into an uptrend. This is very interesting to me because we've seen this before. We once got very, very close to trend shifting this. What occurred that following candle? A major dump before going to that 99.8s. So for me, when I see that, it really then gave me a lot of confluence and confidence to aggressively short around this zone, because I know exactly where I'm wrong, and it's always been based on trend, and trend is always key before anything else. Then you throw in the 5-day median was right around perfectly around the 109.5, good confluence to my mean line at 109.3, sprinkle in a reset on BBWP. It to me seems very primed to see a major move in July. And as it stands, just based on this 5-day, it's going to be down. This 38.2% is giving you the next target around 98,400. That's great confluence to the idea that if you come down to that 103.1 on Bitcoin, just visually, you've seen how many times we've hit this, most likely not going to be support again. This will then be the channel breakdown. There you'll start seeing all of these longs trapped and a capitulation down, in my opinion, at minimum to 99.8. If you start losing 99.8, this is just going to take you where? Well, very simply, you're just going to go to the SMA 200, right around that 95.5 to 96K region. There, I could see an argument for a bottom. The EMA 100 often can give you a bottom, but we know how Bitcoin likes to operate. Often when it reclaims certain levels like the SMA 200, it doesn't retest it for a very long time. This gets everyone bullish. You can make a lot of money trading the range. But then when you get these range breakdowns, generally these moves just make you retest the SMA 200. You generally should then hold that. Even on this move where you did go lower, you still got a nice bounce off the SMA 200. So today, we're very short. We've been scaling shorts the last few days. And so now, today, it's really going to be confirmation day. So we know that the 5-day is closing. Let me get that. We know it's closing in 10 hours. We know also that the median is a big part of this analysis, and trend is also key. So two things can occur. We cannot break this high. We break this high, I'm totally wrong, and we're about to, in my opinion, go up to $124,000 minimum. This will then confirm the trend shift, will then be in a confirmed breakout with BBWP already discontracted. The implication will be this is going to fire off, giving bulls the easy trade. If we then don't lose 108K as well, this then will be a first sign for me that, well, maybe we're not breaking down. This could be looked at on a daily as a throwback. We broke out. We're just throwing it back and specifically testing the daily EMA 9. So then what can we use then to really digest if this is a trap and if it's set and confirmed? For me, it's if the daily EMA 9's lost. This entire rally, you got an easy ride up. No need to overcomplicate things. Daily EMA 9 gave you an easy move from 86,000 to all-time high. You only lost it twice in this entire move up. Both times immediately got reclaimed. You lost it here. I could have sworn you lost it again. It was here. Okay, here. No, never mind. You only lost it one time. That's even more confluence what I'm trying to say, which is that zone should hold. This is lined up nicely with, and this is a meme. This is just Jesus toast, but this channel here. So that's good confluence to say, well, okay, we have a channel, obvious, but then the daily EMA 9 should hold. We're already then going under the median. The EMA 5 is not holding, but it's still a very long day. And what you don't want to do here is start scaling shorts for this to happen, and then we break out. That would be really detrimental. Instead, this is what we need to happen. We'll then be back in this range. We can then take more shorts on the daily 9 and target around the 105.5, 106K. We know that 106K is crucial. You start losing 106K, boom, confirmation, you're going to lose the 34. This will give you the next move to the EMA 100. Where there, it has to hold, it very well could. And then we're all just watching then to see if, well, does the weekly take out the last weekly low? Right, then we can have an argument for maybe then going up, trend shifting. But with what we know then with this downtrend that no one's talking about, no one's identified, which often makes the easiest shorts, when we come down to here, the implications that this low is not safe and that this is going to be broken, giving us that lower low, which is going to be interpreted by testing the daily SMA 200. So for me, it's very obvious. It's actually just like very easy, actually. And it's easy because we have trend on our side. I don't need to force anything. Even the weekly's in a downtrend. It's very easy. And when I often see, and everyone can mentally note this, whenever you see a wick high ever so slightly miss a trend shift, well, there you go. In theory, then you have your top, because you know that if that breaks this trend, like if this breaks that wick high, the trend will shift. Bulls are in control. And then great, we have a real argument to make a new high. But when I saw that into yesterday's live, when I went live on Instagram, yeah, that really just changed things for me. I'm sure we'll look at ES1 and see how that closed. That's another interesting point on why as well we should be more cautious up here. I mean, we had an epic bull market. We've been going up nonstop. I mean, Bitcoin found footing around the low 30,000s, and here we are at $108,000. Yet people want higher, and it's not always going to be that way. And for me, we're not calling a bear market, but I'll just trade what I know. And I know 100% that this is resistance. We're still within a range, and everyone is quite bullish up here. So remember too, it's often going to look the most bullish in quotation marks at the tops. Now, that's why you're always going to hear traders say the trend is your friend, because then at least you can, okay, it's yes, there's divergences, bullish divergence and whatnot, but it's all just dictated on trend. And for me, this doesn't look bullish. It was all dependent on taking out this previous wick high, and Bitcoin could not even do that. If you're the most bullish person, you would say, well, we're reclaiming the weekly median. So very minimum, you're going to go and throw it back and test that. That still gives you confluence to move all the way down to 100K. Now, granted, this will shift. So maybe that shifts up to 103K. But still, regardless, it's still telling you that you really don't have an argument to aggressively long up here. So that's Bitcoin. We have the 2-week volatility now actually firing off in that sense, which means that we're above the moving average, not firing off. We're above the moving average. It's starting to move up. Very close to firing off is a better way to say it. Weekly is resetting. Cool. Nothing really to report there. You are still under the weekly median. And you do have the 38.2% being at 100K. It's an interesting point. Okay, cool. We see the 10-day. This needs to hold. That's at 106K. We already know the 106K absolutely needs to hold. Lose that gives you the next target to around that $87,000. Very interesting to see that. I wanted to see the 15-day. I thought I had it. Let's add it. $15-day medians also right around the 15-day EMA 9, sitting at 100K. So again, trend is key. So if we come all the way down here, yes, you very well could bounce, but then again, you very well could take this wick out, confirming the downtrend, and then all of crypto Twitter is going to say, oh, it's a downtrend, and then we probably get the bounce at the daily SMA 200. Remember, it's often very easy if you can catch trends early to play. It's harder to make money when everyone understands it's in a downtrend, because downtrends are the easiest thing to play. I mean, you can just play lower highs for days and make money. Lower high, dump. Lower high, right around just bearish retest, if we even get it. Very well could. I'll say that, and we'll squeeze. So I'll just expect that now. But it's in a downtrend. Let's check the daily. Cool. It just looks like a liquidity grab. This is a massive deviation. There is nothing at all today stopping Bitcoin from fully just taking this whole pump out and doing this, just so everyone knows. There's literally nothing stopping Bitcoin from doing that, except the daily 9. That's why that'll be really key to see. So I'm trying to keep my bearishness in check, but it's just very hard. It's very bearish. I'm very bearish, and it's going to confirm soon. We're getting the rejection. We just need the confirmation, and that very well could happen today. So we're all positioned, which is very good, because I mean, just look at every time that we went up here. Imagine just longing this and this. Each time it's giving you an easy short. Each time, 7%. 10%. The difference is you're just in a range. So imagine if you're catching shorts up here and you finally get the range breakdown. Oh, that'll be juicy. That'll just be amazing. And that'll be confirmed at once the daily SMA 200. Well, once you really are bearish, and I'll tell you my 3 criteria. It's this. It's the daily EMA 100 getting lost, the weekly EMA 9 getting lost, and then lastly, to confirm a bear market, it's the monthly 9. Even on the most bearish days here, I still said bulls still are holding the monthly 9 because that keeps you in check. You can use the EMA 5 on the monthly. If you lose that, good confirmation to say, okay, we're going to go to the EMA 9, lose the 5, go to the EMA 9. I know you already bounced off that, so that's a bad example. Let me get a better one. I can't really find one quickly and efficiently. But you can do it on the 2-week. I'm sure that's more obvious, right? If you, oh God, whatever. I'm not going to do that. But really, those are my 3 criteria for a bear market. You're not at all doing any of them yet, but that's why we need patience and time and bears to actually start giving us the follow through. I don't find it a coincidence we're starting to see that today. So that's Bitcoin. Hopefully that made sense. Let's go here real quick.
One counterpoint.
Oh,
Capo is bearish. Checkmate bears.
I was we were talking about this morning.
A broken clock is right. At least whatever the saying goes, twice a day.
Twice a day. Yeah, because it stays in the same number. So twice a day he's got to go over the
So, I mean, I always say this. I hate.
Come on, Jim Cramer. Give us that tweet, Jim Cramer. Give us that tweet.
I hate when me and
then the stars will align.
It's never fun. Let's not forget, though, we still reclaimed the monthly median on Tether on USDC dominance. Now, the counterpoints, USDC dominance doesn't have as much data as Tether dominance. Even doing TA on stablecoin dominance, some analysis scoff at that. So I'll always say that. But regardless,
USDC makes around 20% of the crypto market.
Yeah. So we identified here that we actually did reclaim the monthly median. This is significant because the entire bull market, you were under the monthly median. The entire bull market. Once you actually lost it here, this is the spark of it. We just started to go down. We actually haven't reclaimed it up until this point. You then even retested it on that move up to 109.3 to $110,000 on Bitcoin. What occurred last time when this happened? Well, you reclaimed it, you came down, you tested it. Once you tested it, you started to break out. This was all throughout that 2022 move. The bear market.
Would you mind measuring how much it went below it before it went up?
Sure.
No, not there. On that green candle before it broke out. No, you're not close. You're not even close. All to the right. Right.
Are you talking about this?
Right. That one. No, left. You're going right, left. Keep going left. Yes, keep going that way.
Give me the date.
Right. One right. I don't know the date. One right. That one. How much below the median did you go?
What am I measuring?
From the median to the wick low.
Okay. 22.67
down. That would be about 35 to 40% up on Bitcoin.
But the difference is we've already tested it. So it's already tested.
Well,
so in theory,
we haven't gone below it like that time though.
No, but that doesn't matter. The analysis here I'm trying to show is once you got above it, you did test it. Here was the test. You went down, you went below it, but you didn't close below it. And then here's the test was done.
You tested it twice, didn't you?
No,
you tested it on that one red shooting star. The one 2 candles to the left. That one tested it too.
Oh, you're right. This was the open though. So this opened and reclaimed it.
And
this
didn't
test it. This was the actual test.
That one did.
And then this so this was the reclaim.
And that one, the one to the left was a reclaim because it ever so slightly closed over the median. The green one.
This one?
Yeah, because that closed over.
Oh.
The median moved up after the close.
Interesting. So this, interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, so this was the reclaim, the test, and this did test again, actually. So I see what you're trying to say. Here as well, broke out. You tested it, and then you tested it again, and then you went up. So 2 tests. Here, you didn't do it yet. Well, you did. I mean, if you're counting this as the this lost it. Wait. No, this reclaimed it. Yeah. Lost it. This is when it started to reclaim it. The test is done. So only the reason I'm bringing this up is because we talked about it last month. We still have opened above the median and we've already tested it. That was the counterpoint of this could easily shift this as really down to like 1.5% and then test it. At minimum now, this should take you up to the 34 at 1.992%. But per the HBDR, this should take you up to the 38.2%. This is your 5-day setup playing out, in my opinion. Frisky. Markets are frisky. I am absolutely printing today. Just so everyone knows, which means everyone's printing because I gave out every trade I took to the boys. And we even gave out a cheeky short yesterday. So congrats. Okay, cool. So here we have, this was looking very bad. I will say that tether dominance is looking very bad. And that's why then we need to see the bounce. That was just obvious to me going into yesterday on the 5-day. 5 days looking bad. So when we were down here, very far from the median, I was telling everyone this plays into my idea. Today's a massive dump trap. This gets the bounce at support, and you're in a 5-day uptrend. Are you not? This trend shifted. Dirty, gross wick, but it did trend shift how my system works. This is a higher low until you take out June 15th low. So this is now in a higher low potential. And now we're even very close to reclaiming the 5-day median. If this occurs, yeah, you're going to move all the way up to 5.5%. This will shift, but still, we're talking about potentially a 13% move up. Now, the daily today, I want to see the EMA 100 get reclaimed because, and I'll still say this on the counterpoint is, this very well could just reject here. Far and long that he'll talk about very well could just get filled here and then we bounce. So today it's going to be very crucial to see where everything closes because what you don't want as a bear on Bitcoin is this to rally up. We reject, bearish retest, we start coming down and this just leads to a major dump. But rather as you got the trap scenario where this looked bad. This really did last 2 days. You got the higher low on the 5-day. Now, there's no reason why this just won't green dildo and reclaim the EMA 100. Very simple. Throw it back to around here. You break out to 5%. It's the same thing. Deviation, you need to be watching the 5% carefully. Reclaiming above 5%, you very well could bull flag, will give you a measured move up to 5.23%. Let's check volatility because we had seen the 5-day fire off first on tether dominance. It's fully reset. 2 days, giving us a nice setup. 3 days resetting. 15 days reset too. So a move is coming. But again, see, it's just not looking the best. That's why, let me get this out. That's why it's going to be really crucial to really start seeing this like green dildo up soon. I'll say that. I mean, I'm a bear, but this isn't looking the best. You need the weekly 9 to at minimum get reclaimed. You need this to hold, or this is on the verge of breaking down. So I get it. I understand that counterpoint 100%. And that's why it still plays into trend. And we need to just see the 5-day higher low in, which means that this high is going to get taken, which means that we could easily go up to the 5.4%. And then we get our rollover on tether dominance. There we get the actual retest, the deviation. We go all the way up. Bitcoin hits the SMA 200, and then we bottom. Very well could happen. Or, right, we reject the daily EMA 100 today, massively reject, and you close back under the SMA 200 because you've lost it. This was like concerning me yesterday. Well, you lost the SMA 200. If this was any chart, I'd be aggressively shorting the SMA 200, shorting here. But then I had to use that as a counterpoint into why this is a bull trap, because why would I think this is a bull trap? Well, you have a daily trend shift that's predatory while the higher time frames are in a downtrend. It's just very easy trap scenario. While then we also approach a major resistance. Let's do the dominant or Bitcoin dominance. Deviation still occurring. In theory, this high, bears don't want this high to get taken out. They want this deviation to kind of be a local top and this to start rolling over. This was a failed breakout, and then bulls horny like me for that wanted the 69% don't get that. But this still very well could do that, very well could reclaim support, and this could just be looked at as a higher low. Again, trend is always the key to my analysis, and this is still in an uptrend, and it's still holding the 38.2%, and you're even still holding support. If I go to the lower time frames, let's check that out. Yeah, this is like looking like it wants to go up, which is beautiful because we're short on altcoins. So that then tells me that, well, Bitcoin's probably going to dump and alts are probably going to be decimated, which is exactly what we see on XRPP. If we go here and we if you know, right? It's like, oh, cool. Yeah. So by the mid of July, you're going to start seeing this probably start moving. This doesn't change. And then also it probably explains why Sol is about to silver cross on the weekly on the downside. If you know, every single silver cross on the downside on Sol has led to the bear market. So I can interpret that as, yeah, Bitcoin dominance is still very bullish. It's probably going to start breaking out even on the backs of a bearish Bitcoin. And I said this in April and I was wrong. That is what happened in the bear market.
Did the TP1 on the short hit, by the way? I'm not sure what it was.
I don't think
so.
So.
We hit my entry for the long.
Did we? Man, I'm okay. Oh, I'll check all that.
It was the daily median was my entry.
Yeah. So, I mean, it makes sense to long. I understand it. But again, if we start losing this daily 9, I do think that we should cut longs.
And for everyone listening, the stop loss is at 104.570.
Yeah. So I think long is logical, and I said this very well could bounce. And then what does that mean? Well, probably means that tether dominance rejects here. But if you start seeing this get reclaimed, this is my criteria to be aggressive on shorts. And also you start seeing the daily EMA 9 loss. You then know that the 12-hour, right? It's a very simple system. If the daily 9's lost, and that means that the 12-hour has lost the 9, which then opens up the easy short. So then we can cancel that long. makes sense.
By the
Solana.
way, I gotta say, muchas gracias for giving us all that Solana short.
Got you, bro.
Hope everyone else here took it as well.
Oh, I'm sure they did. I gave a lot of shorts out yesterday on crypto. Lastly, I just finish off with ES1. I know we'll probably look into this, but I thought this was interesting. We talked about 6,300 getting hit. It did. So markets have lined up now. They're at resistance. If even you were the biggest bull here, you would be gauging a pullback. You have your monthly higher high. You haven't tested 6,150. This isn't what I want to talk about, though. Let's watch this monthly median. So what did we do directly? We lost the monthly median in March, and then here we essentially capitulated in April. We've rallied up over 30%. We've hit the monthly median. This, to me, is looking like a bearish retest if you're just going to play the HBDR. This monthly median, if you track it with your eyes, entire bull market it's been holding. Simply. Here, November of 2023. If you know, you know. So again, interesting point to see that with Bitcoin looking so terrible to me. In theory, this should be some kind of major top. And we'll be wrong on that. I'll be wrong on that. If let's say we go down to 6,150, this springs and you reclaim simply the monthly median. Last time you lost it and reclaimed it led to an epic rally. But until then, just understand that as well. So that's all I have on Bitcoin.
Senor, care to share your chart?
Alrighty. Will indeed share my screen.
Damn, that was a good short.
Yeah,
I didn't start with the lower
That was-
time frames.
That was some beautiful trade today, boys. I will say.
Yeah.
I woke up.
It was the most beautiful. I've seen a lot of beautiful trades, believe me. I've seen a lot of beautiful ones. You rarely see as many beautiful ones. So let me tell you, you rarely see him. Senor Shiva, he gives the best. He gives the best. A lot of people give a lot of shorts. A lot of people give them.
That is a gayer Donald Trump
good,
that I've ever
not
heard.
good,
That's not
not
Donald.
good. Not
That's
good.
a gay Donald Trump, not the official one. People know about the official one. They know what he likes. They know what they don't. They don't know.
Trump would get offended too on that. He would say
Absolutely.
something.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Abuelo Trump. I can't do it better than that.
Gotta man up your Trump.
You got a minute? I can't do it. All right, so I'm gonna start with the daily right now. So right now we do have these couple of meme lines right now. These two intersecting ones. There is the horizontal meme line I have, which is coming from this breakdown right here. Also caught this breakdown, caught this projective high, and then we have this diagonal meme line, which has caught this series of lower highs. So right now we have gotten the close over those two meme lines. Right now we are getting a back test of this current meme line, which what I love to see, which gave me my point of confluence for giving that long right in this area, is that the 9 EMA, the meme line, and the median are all right next to each other. They're all basically bunched up to each other, giving you 3 strong points of support in that area. If you look at momentum right now, momentum is right at the reset zone and has not quite flipped back over just yet, while volatility is now sitting at literally 0%. The jewel is currently on a sell signal, but it has not confirmed into the sell signal just yet. Still in the bullish control zone, and it's very close to giving you a bullish cross between the pink and the crossing over the yellow. Go down to the 4 hour. And 4 hour is also going to support the short-term bearishness. Right now, the 4 hour, we are losing the 50% on the HPDR. Let me quickly change these. I don't know why my settings are wrong. So like 1 second, I've got them memorized, so I don't need to look at a picture. Look at them in enough, and you'll have these numbers memorized as well. There we go. 4 hour is now heavily losing the 38.2%, while momentum is pointed to the downside. 4 hours, very close to putting in a hidden bullish divergence as long as we are closing over about $105,322. Very likely with this 4-hour loss of this of the 21 EMA and the 50%. Right now we are getting a bounce of this 55 EMA, but I don't expect that bounce to be the one we're looking for. If we do close like this, I'd expect one more move, a bearish retest of this meme line right around $108,000. And from there, I do expect a little dumpski to tap this meme line right around that $107,000 area for one more bearish retest. But if we can close over this meme line on a 4-hour basis over that $108,000, I am going to start to consider this as the local bottom. It's not going to be confirmed just yet, but I would expect one more tap of this meme line and then a move up to the 38.2%. What is going to confirm this as a local bottom per a technical basis is going to be getting the close over this wick high at around $109,065. You get a close over there, that will that'll take you back over the 38.2% and confirm this technically as a local bottom, giving you targets of your previous rejective highs, which is right now somewhere around $110,000-ish. If you look at our momentum, that move to right around that a retap of the meme line or a retap of our current lows would be what breaks these lows on momentum and what gives us our hidden bullish divergence. Right now, if you look at the Joule is giving you a sell signal, but we've still got the bullish cross, which is more important than the short-term dark blue. What's going to invalidate this is if the pink crosses below the yellow. But as long as the pink is below the yellow, the odds are still higher that eventually this will shift back into a buy signal. Let's go to daily. Let's go to 2-day. 2-day right now is right at that top 38.2%. While momentum is still flipped to the upside and very close to getting into the bullish control zone, and volatility is now expanding from 0%. Then if you look at the Joule is still giving you a buy signal with confirmed hidden bullish divergence. And that divergence is going to be active as long as you're closing over about $105,175. Right now, another point of confluence for my long was that that 5 EMA lining up almost perfectly with my diagonal meme line. And ideally, what the bulls want to see is a close over this 38.2%, which lines up beautifully with my horizontal meme line at about $108,000. When you get a close over that level, if this candle is red, very likely you will get another test of that level, but that is likely going to be a spring, and that's very likely going to send you to new highs. Because if you look at the relationship, whenever you close over the 38.2%, usually that's what gives you the breakout. Like if you closed over the 38.2% right here, you eventually retested it, broke out again, closed over 38.2%, retested it right here, broke out again. Let's find another example. Close over the 38.2% right here, we got your retest right here, broke out again. This time you ended up losing it. You retested the bottom. That's when you broke out. See if we can find another one to the upside. Here's another one, close over that 38.2%. Here was your retest, broke out, another retest, breakout. So as of right now, as long as we are closing over that top 38.2%, probabilities are higher than not that we are going to break out. And based on the HPDR, we would get a number. That would be a 61.8% chance that we would break out as long as we close over this area. Start to close below this area, and then those 61.8% chance, 61.8% odds go against you, and they go in the direction of a breakdown. Because if you close below this area, then you have a 61.8% chance of coming to this bottom 38.2%, which right now is right at our 55 EMA at that $100,000 level that Alex was bringing up. If you start to lose this 55 EMA, that's where in technical terms, Bitcoin probably fucked. And very likely at a minimum, it's going to retest our current lows right around $98,000. And at that point, I'm thinking we're going to get a breakdown and sit down for this because the target is a little low. It's about $83,000 at the 200 SMA.
Damn.
But that's a very big if. You have to do a lot of things before that is actionable. A lot of levels before that zone. So I'm not going to just come out and be like, oh, $83,000. 5-day as well, freshly flipped to the upside on momentum. This is the first time 5-day has freshly flipped to the upside on momentum after being below it for a good amount of time since about March of, no, actually not even March. Yeah, right around March actually, which was basically our bottom before we got a bounce of, let's see how much. about 7%. But the difference between now and then is that at that time, volatility was at extremes and it was coming on a reset. So you were getting a mean reversion bounce, which is why you got a bearish retest. Right now, volatility is sitting at extreme lows, and very unlikely this would be a mean reversion. And another point that's been a difference is that at this point, not only were you under the median, but you were significantly under the median. Right now on the 5-day, you are basically right at that median. You're slightly below it, about $1,000, which is not even 1%. And there's still about 9.5 hours left to go. Let's switch over to the a little bit more accurate numbers on the index. And if we do manage to close over that median, then you would have that in this close in 9 hours, that would give you that 61.8% chance of going to that top 38.2%. But there's also one other possibility of going to that top 38.2%. That possibility, it's much smaller, but there is a possibility that the median will move to the downside. It's not as possible. It's not as likely. It's less than a 50% chance, but it is possible. And right now, another point in the bull's favor is that the 5-day median, the 5-day jewel is losing the sell signal and it's going into a neutral signal. Right now, it did switch back into a sell signal. It's going back and forth. It has not confirmed the neutral signal just yet. What will confirm the neutral signal is if you can close over about $107,900. If you close over that area, you will confirm that neutral signal. And the last time, we'll mark with the vertical line what happens when we get a flip from the sell signal to a neutral signal. We'll put one right here. And we'll do it only in the bullish control zone. I'll give you guys the elevator music. Doing a little Bad Bunny. That should be enough. $69%. That's a very lovely number. $25.5%. About 17.8%. Okay. Next one. Move my meme line. About 23%, very close to that 25% number. 10.8%, and then how much did you move down? Nah, so I'm not going to bother counting that number because it's almost double-digit move to the downside. Minimum move right now is about 8 to 10%. Okay, now the minimum moves 5%, very close, pretty close to that 10%, 8% area. And as of this moment, how much have we moved up? 2.4%. Let's take it to the minimum 5%. Brings us to about slightly new all-time highs at about $113,500. Do about 8 to 10%, brings us to roughly $117,000 to $119,000. About 25% brings us to about roughly $135,000. It all comes down to the confirmation of that neutral signal, because there has not been a neutral signal where we didn't move up even, or at the very least 5%. Now we'll switch over to weekly. Come on. Sometime today. There we go. Weekly right now, it's still below the median. That being below the median doesn't give you the probabilities of hitting that 38.2% until you lose the 90 MA. As long as you're over that 90 MA, that is going to be your first level before going to that 38.2%. And before you can even go to your 90 MA, you have to lose the 5 EMA. And as of now, we are still bouncing off the 5 EMA, which is at $106,000 area. And then second of all, to give you those probabilities of hitting that 38.2%, you would also need a rejection of the median, which right now we haven't even tapped the median. On this last closure, let me zoom in on it. By ever so slightly, by a ball sack here, it closed over that median. So you haven't yet tapped it again, and closing over it would give you probabilities of tapping it again. Not telling you if you close over it again, but at the very least tapping it. Sit at $114,000, which is ever so slightly new all-time highs. Start to tap it and reject it, then you get the overwhelming probabilities that you'll come down to this $100,000 area. Right now, momentum on the weekly is putting in possible hidden bullish divergence as well by taking out these lows. And that will confirm with any close over about $108,536. That will give us very easily targets of new all-time highs. Right now, volatility is starting to go into an expansion phase from 0%. And right now, if we look at the jewel, we are very, very close, like one weekly close away from getting that bullish cross with the pink above the yellow. And this is on a weekly setup. If you were to see what happens on a weekly setup with that cross with the pink above the yellow, right there. And that was in the bullish control zone, so I won't count that. Come on. Pink above yellow, right there. Right there. Come on, Solana. Give it to Papacito. Quite early in Bitcoin's history. 59.9% move up. Doesn't look like that much on the chart, but quite a bit. 65% up, very similar. And these are all crosses that happen within the bullish control zone, so they're less powerful than the crosses that happen lower. 79%. God, it was fun as fuck to trade Bitcoin back in these days. 240%. And this is a weekly setup. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks for 240%. But in 2016, I was busy being a fucking idiot playing Pokemon Go. 20%. So if we assume the cross happens from here and apply 20%, brings us very close to our top 38.2%, right around $130,000. The 5-day? Monthly, I mean. Monthly is currently reclaiming that bottom 38.2%. On the last close, we did successfully hold that 38.2%. And right now, that would give us probabilities of going to the median, giving us a 61.8% chance of tapping the median. And that level right now sits at about $146,000. And we have momentum breaking all of these lows here, giving us 3 drives of possible hidden bullish divergence on the monthly also. And that hidden bullish divergence will be confirmed with any one more close over any level above $104,653. So you'll have 3 drives of hidden bullish divergence on the monthly, along with reclaiming the bottom 38.2%, plus losing the sell signal on the jewel, and the jewel is also giving you hidden bullish divergence as well. This jewel is very likely gonna give you a buy signal on this next monthly open, as long as you get that close over $104,653. Over to the quarterly. Quarterly now, ever so slightly by a ballsack here, did get a close over that median, which does give us probabilities of within this next quarterly close, at the very least, tapping the median. Doesn't tell you if you close over it, but at the very least, you will tap that median. And this is the first time we've gotten a close over the median since about 2017. And right now, the tap of that median would give us a move of about, like, at the very least 45% to the upside, somewhere between 40 and 45% to the upside. Right now, quarterly is flipped down on momentum, but the candle has not closed, and so you don't have a confirmation. But what you do have very, very close, I think you might already have it. Let's zoom in a little bit. Yeah, is a possibility for hidden bullish divergence. And that hidden bullish divergence will be confirmed with any close over about $111,965. You get a hidden bullish divergence on the quarterly with already having a hidden bullish divergence on the monthly, very likely takes you up to that median at about $165,000. Wow. Now we shall switch to the RSI. Quarterly untethered dominance still has 3 drives of bearish. Oh, 4 drives. I think 1, 2, not 3 drives of bearish divergence, and this will be active as long as you're closing below about 6.24%, and you've got a nice head and shoulders on price action, and you've deviated on this last close, deviated your 5 and your 9 EMAs. The bearish divergence right now would give you a target of hitting the neutral zone, which at the moment is sitting at about 3.94%. And right now, volatility has freshly entered into an expansion phase after this last month, a quarterly close, for the first time since about January of 2022. And the difference between this volatility expansion and that volatility expansion is that volatility expansion was off the back of hidden bullish divergence. So you got some busting action, some insane busting action to the upside. This volatility expansion is off the back of bearish divergence. So probably you get that busting action to the downside. Monthly still has active hidden bearish divergence, and we maintained the rejection of all of our major EMAs. Even this move up took us to the 21 EMA, but not only did we manage to not close above the 21 EMA, we didn't even close above the 5, the 9, or the 55. And right now, we are still just rejecting our cluster of EMAs. This plus the hidden bearish divergence and another possible drive of hidden bearish divergence, because we have broken these levels on momentum while price is still making a lower high, gives you another possible drive of hidden bearish divergence, and that will confirm with any close below about 4.51%. The current divergence already gives you a target of the 100 EMA. The next one will just make it what's the word? Make it like a given or a minimum to go to that 100 EMA, and that would give you even the current divergence, but the third drive, which is not possible, would I don't want to use like guarantee it, but it would give you the closest thing to a guarantee of a target between the simple moving average and the bearish control zone. Simple moving average is at about 3.43%. Bearish control zone is 2.59%. What lines up with that 3.43% area in the simple moving average? That 100 EMA on the monthly. Invalidation right now of this hidden bearish divergence is going to be to confirm a local bottom, and the only way to confirm a local bottom here is to get a monthly close above 5.26%. And now 5 days still got active bearish divergence. It's going to be active as long as you're closing below about 5.26%. 5 days got a silver cross to the downside, and as of this moment, you are still rejecting the silver cross. You are, I believe, let me look in a little bit closer, still below not only the 55 EMA, but you're still below the 21 EMA as well. And as of now, and the macro on the 5-day in Tether dominance is still in a downtrend. This is a macro lower high, macro lower high. This is your last macro lower high. You have yet to close over this area, and it's just closing lower lows, which is why there's that possibility of hidden bearish divergence. Hidden bearish divergence is not possible in the uptrend with volatility sitting at extreme lows. 3-day also has hidden bearish divergence active. Going to be active as long as you're closing below about 5.26%. Volatility is at extreme lows, and the jewel is now giving you a fresh sell signal. And you have a silver cross to the downside, which as of now, you are still rejecting. Nothing on the 2-day. Daily is very close to putting in a drive of hidden bullish divergence, however, and that will confirm with any close over about 4.79% in the next 9 hours. Very close to where we are right now. If that does confirm, that will give you a target of hitting the neutral zone, somewhere between the neutral zone and the simple moving average. And that it would be somewhere between 4.94% and 5.07%. That would correlate to how much of a pump? 4. About 2.3% to the upside on Bitcoin. I mean, 2.23% to the upside on Tether, which will correlate to like a 5% dump on Bitcoin. And 4-hour now has many drives of bullish divergence, and that will be active as long as you're closing over about 4.78%, and the 4-hour is reclaiming the 200 SMA. Hopium for Tether bears, however, is that volatility is coming to a full contraction while momentum does give you hidden regular bullish divergence. Now we'll switch to momentum chart. Tether still got momentum strongly to the downside, and it's going to be pointed down as long as we're closing below 5.79%. And now we've got volatility freshly expanding with momentum strongly to the downside. Kind of a recipe for some busting action to the downside or some nuking action. But as long as we are closing over 2.23% on a quarterly closing basis, and this will eventually confirm hidden bullish divergence, which then will officially start the bear market for crypto. Monthly is currently flipped to the upside, but the pivot is very close to where price action is now. It went up significantly, and it's likely going to go up again on this next open because you are going to be at the edge of the bearish control zone. And right now, if the bears can manage to close this below 4.79%, this would be considered a projection of getting out of the bearish control zone. And volatility is just now about to start getting into an expansion phase. Volatility expansion with monthly hidden bearish divergence and another possible drive of monthly hidden bearish divergence. There is one piece of hopium right now for the Tether bulls and the crypto bears is that there is a little bit of an inverse head and shoulders on Tether right now. But once you lose this wick low, then that no longer becomes possible at about 4.36%.
Yeah, but you also have that structure is forming a regular head and shoulders too.
Is it this one right here, this head?
Yeah. No, that's not the head.
Well,
that would be a massive one if you want to count that. Like the one in the middle would be the head. Yeah, that. And then your next shoulder. So basically you break that like that, those points below. And that's going to like below that. Yep, you break that. It's going to fucking nuke.
And then here's some more confluence with the idea that the monthly very, very likely flips down. Is that the 2-week has already flipped down with volatility now sitting at extreme lows, and it has rejected the bullish control zone and is going to be flipped down below 5.24%. And if you remember, that 5.24% is very, very close to our major projected high of 5.26%.
That's interesting because that's my next target if you get above that EMA 100. Is around the 5.2 to 5.24.
Weekly is currently positioned to the upside. However, it's still within the bearish control zone, and volatility is resetting while momentum is to the upside. Let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, zoom out. 5-day is currently also pointed to the upside. Volatility is contracting during the momentum pointed up, while that silver cross to the downside is still active. And on this next probably 2 opens, we will be at the edge of the bearish control zone. If the pivot doesn't move at that point, then there's going to be more points in favor of Tether bulls. 2-day, however, is giving us some insight into what the 5-day will do, and the pivot has already changed and has already flipped to the downside on momentum with 3 periods of 0% volatility now, and we will be flipped down as long as we are closing below 4.85%. And now we are about to enter into the bearish control zone as well. We are right at the edge of the bearish control zone. So if we are going to be bullish on Tether, this is where bulls need to flip it up, because if it enters into the bearish control zone, you likely will get that volatility expansion to the downside. But if you close over about 4.94%, which would also reclaim your 2-day 200 SMA, that likely confirms your volatility expansion to the upside. Are we doing any divergences? Yeah, there is possible hidden bearish divergence on the 2-day, because we broke momentum above these levels here, while price is making a lower high, and that will be confirmed when you close below 4.69%. Very nice number. Daily is also currently flipped to the downside with volatility fully reset at that 15% area. And we are going to be flipped down as long as we're closing below 4.83%, which we are exactly at that number right now. 4-hour is currently flipped to the upside. Volatility is currently contracting, very close to getting back into extreme lows. Right now, we are slightly over our cluster of EMAs. If you are bearish on Tether and crypto on bullish, you're going to want to see this reject this ideally this 155 EMA. If you see that rejection of that 155 EMA, then at the minimum, you're going to retest this 200. And at that point, IMO, that's when you're going to see your deviation and breakdown. If you close over this 100 EMA, you probably are going to get a back test of this 100 EMA and use that as a spring into somewhere around these high 4s here. This is going to be the area where crypto Tether bears are absolutely going to have to step in, because if Tether gets even a 4-hour close above this rejected high, at that point Tether is probably going to break you, and Bitcoin's probably going to get that breakdown below 100K. Now let's switch over to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is still positioned strongly to the upside on momentum. On the quarterly, never once flipped down since 2023. And volatility is still in an expansion phase from the lowest level it's ever been. And momentum is still pointed up as long as we're closing over about $98,530. And if you notice, the wick low of our quarterly candle so far is basically right to my meme line. A little front run of it. Ever so slight front run. Momentum on the quarterly is currently flipped to the upside. Monthly. Last monthly close did confirm that volatility expansion over the 15%. It is once again back below that 15%, but we have not gotten our monthly closure just yet, confirming that volatility contraction. Once we do get that closure confirming the volatility contraction, that will be the first time ever that the monthly setup has failed, which I'm not on the side of that happening. I do strongly believe that before the month ends, volatility will go back into a expansion phase. And right now, monthly does have hidden bullish divergence active, which did confirm on this last monthly close. and monthly momentum is currently going to be flipped to the upside as long as we're over $95,200. This pivot used to be around $103,000, high 103s, almost 104. This pivot went down by like $8,000 or $9,000. That's extremely bullish to see the pivot go down $8,000 or $9,000. You don't often see the pivot drop by close to $10,000 and then see a breakdown after that. We have hidden bullish divergence on time frame as high as the monthly. With how many drives of it? 1, 2, 3. Third drive possible as well. 2 already confirmed. 2 week is also giving us that volatility expansion above that moving average, very close to getting to that 15%. And right now, statistically, if that volatility does expand, it would be to the upside because momentum is pointed up, rejecting getting out of the bullish control zone, and it's pointed up above $96,800. And we've also got hidden bullish divergence on the 2 week, and that's going to be active as long as you're closing over $98,330. Let's see, volatility expansion. And the last time, also similarities between this move and this last busting action move we had in late 2024 is that we're also flipping up from the same exact point that we did in this area, maintaining the bullish control zone, and we also have hidden bullish divergence like we did in this area as well. Plus, we're getting back over all of our major EMAs. Let me draw one of these just so I'm curious. Oh, zoom in. The 78.6 level is about 109,163. 3 closures over that one, a very important 109 level. This also gives you another point of influence for why 109 is so important. It gives you that 120. Next level is 133. Weekly now. Weekly is very close to flipping back to the upside. This is the first time weekly would be flipping to the upside since about April. And this is the first time weekly would be flipping back up within the critical zone since about December. And then the other time it flipped back up in the critical zone was about February. And each one of these moves resulted in new all-time highs. And right now, momentum will flip back up in 2 days and 10 hours if we can close over $106,800. We're about $1,000 over that right now. $1,000 isn't really much, to be fair, though. Bitcoin can sneeze and drop $1,000. 5 days also currently freshly positioned to the upside, with volatility sitting at almost 0% at 1.5%. And momentum will flip down if we close today below about $111,200. And we are currently putting in possible hidden bullish divergence on the 5 day as well. And that will confirm with any close over about 108,382. 2 days already also flipped to the upside with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 periods of 0% volatility. We're above all of our major EMAs, even above the 5 EMA. And right now, momentum is currently positioned to the upside as long as you're above $106,700. So the 2 day and the 5 day both right now say that if we get volatility expansion, probabilities are to the upside. And it's overwhelmingly to the upside, like 85% chance to the upside if we get volatility expansion. 2 days are any divergences here. Where closes this? This is 101,597, 102. Yep, hidden bullish divergence on the 2 day as well between these 2 points. With the volatility set up and momentum pointed up. Daily, however, is currently pointed down. Hopium is that, and some bullish points with momentum pointed down is that volatility is now very close to a full reset, going back into that reset zone. And momentum will flip up if you can close over $109,500. So 4 hour. 4 hours also currently pointed to the downside. Volatility is almost fully reset, and it will reset if you can close. Let's switch to the index for this. I'm not index to the exchange chart. We're currently at 21%, about 6% away from extreme lows on volatility, and we will flip up on the 4 hour if you can close over about 109,900. Once again, that 109 area. 109 seems to be very, very important. Right now, my idea is that we either bottom somewhere around this 55 EMA on the 4 hour, or if we do break this area, I would be looking for somewhere a range between this 100 EMA to the 200 EMA. I would prefer it, or bulls would prefer that 100 EMA to hold. You don't want to see another test of this 200 EMA, because at that point it becomes a real possibility that we are going to break down. It's still a chance that the bulls could hold this area, get another retest of this 200, and then get your move up from there, and that would give you somewhat of a bastardized inverse head and shoulders. It just would be less of a chance and more momentum in the bears' favor at that point.
Hmm.
2 hours also currently flipped to the downside. Will flip up if you can close over about 108,300. Right now we are getting somewhat of a decent bounce off of the 100 EMA. This is the first time we're really testing the 100 after getting this breakout. What we don't want to see is another move back down to this level here.
I mean, if you already went there, go to the 10-minute. Come on, don't be shy. Don't be shy. You already took us to the 30-minute. Don't be fucking shy.
Quickly look back over all of the time frames and then give my overview. So on the high time frames, starting with the quarterly, Bitcoin to me is looking extremely bullish. Volatility is still expanding from the lowest level ever on the quarterly. Momentum is currently pointed up, which never flipped down. It's going to be pointed up as long as we're closing over 98,550, and you're putting in hidden bullish divergence on the quarterly, which will be confirmed with any close over about 111,965. Monthly is now giving you confirmed hidden bullish divergence with another possible drive of hidden bullish divergence. You are still strongly over your 5 EMA on the monthly. Yeah, you're getting momentum pointed up as long as you're over $95,200, and this pivot did go down by almost $9,000, which is very significant to see. You're getting 2-week also giving you a volatility setup with momentum also pointed to the
Great.
side. Bullish type is basically you really have the bearish divergences. Sorry?
Repeat the 2-week. I'm sorry, you froze.
On the 2-week, you're also getting a volatility setup with volatility just now starting to expand, and momentum is currently pointed to the upside, giving you hidden bullish divergence, and you're getting a nice you're getting a bounce off of your 9 EMA, taking you back over your 5, getting back over all of your major EMAs, with that volatility expansion starting, giving you basically the same exact setup as the busting action setup we had in late 2024, where we had on the 2-week, we had volatility expanding from that 15% area with momentum holding the bullish control zone and giving you hidden bullish divergence. Same exact setup that we have now. On the weekly, momentum is very close to flipping up. We're already over that pivot with volatility now giving you the reset. 5 days already flipped to the upside with many periods of 0% volatility. 2-day is also flipped to the upside with a volatility setup, many periods of 0% volatility. The only ones that are really to the downside right now are the daily and below. And my idea is somewhere around that daily median is where we're going to get our local, at the very least local, if not macro bottom, and that is the reason why I gave that long around that area. And I do believe that somewhere around that zone, maybe we go slightly lower to somewhere around 106. But I do believe somewhere in that zone, we are going to get that buyback, grind out a higher low. I don't think it's going to be immediate. And then I think we'll get our real move sometime around next week, whenever we do get that bull moon, because the next week is the bull moon. And the invalidation for this is either getting a tick below about 74,441 or getting a weekly close below about, let's go to the index for this. You're getting a weekly close below about 92,900. Aside from that, I do think the local bottom is either in or very close, and I'm still looking for a new all-time high somewhere within the next like maybe 2 to 3 months at the most.
Sorry, no, I'm the retard not sharing the screen. Understood. That makes sense. Alex, for you, it seems like 105,800 is a very important point on the chart for Farhan. Would you agree that you break that down, then you continue with your short? And on the other end, that could be a possibility for as long as we don't go below that, right? Like it's a two-way play.
100%. So you're either gonna the long that Farhan gave now, or I don't know if it's filled yet. The 107K long makes sense because you're either going to bottom at the daily 9. If you don't, then yeah, next target for me is 106.1. 106K has always been a big spot. You lose that, you're going to get a move to 103.1, and then that plays into, well, you've hit that a bunch of times on the 5-day. Probably is not going to hold. Very well could, though, but that's just my idea because we know the more times support gets hit, the weaker it becomes. So.
Touche. Thank you so much, boys. We're going to do ETH and Sol after, and then we can fuck off.
Sweet. I'll do Sol.
Perfecto. Ok, estamos viendo Bitcoin. Mandamos, bueno, Alex mandó ese delicioso corto que están viendo acá. Así que felicidades a los que entramos. No se queden afuera los que no. Bueno, aunque ya ahorita no es recomendable entrar en donde estás ahorita. Si ya no entraste, espérate. Hay mucho de qué platicar en esto. Sobre todo el cambio de sexo de Giovanna. Oye, es que está buenísima y ahora vela. Vamos a empezar con esto. Esta es la trimestral. Bitcoin continúa en esta tendencia alcista. Tuvo el cierre más alto de toda su historia en 106,000. ¿Cuál fue el cierre? Me parece que es 107,173. El de antes eran 93,000, lo que literalmente lo pone demasiado arriba comparado con antes. Continuamos siendo estos altos. Además de que esta es una vela envolvente alcista, envolviendo todo el trimestre pasado, y eso nos debería dar continuación, o favorece mínimo que tuviéramos esa continuación a la alza. También vamos a ver la luna. No se crean. Volatilidad, como sea, en la de 3 meses, comienza a apuntar para abajo, todavía no contrayendo oficialmente, está por encima del promedio de volatilidad. Esto es nuestro indicador de volatilidad que se llama BBWP. Ya saben que aquí arriba el 100%, aquí abajo 0%. Aquí esta línea verde la pusimos nosotros. Venimos del punto más bajo después de octubre del 2023 con el setup de Hamas, y eso nos llevó hasta acá en línea recta, hasta romper altos históricos varias veces. Pero ahora, por el último trimestre de donde cerramos ahorita, parece estar apuntando para abajo. Vamos a mantener un ojo acá bien pelado para ver qué va a ser la volatilidad. Con eso puesto en la mesa, les voy a traer el HPDR también para que lo puedan ver dónde estamos parados en esto. Y ahora, ¿qué pasa cuando abres después de cerrar una vela por arriba de la media y tu media abre así? Lo que te está diciendo es que tienes una más alta probabilidad de venir a buscar esta media en los 141,000 dólares que darte la vuelta para abajo. Entonces, las probabilidades favorecen estos números estúpidos y totalmente locos. Mensual, un poco de lo mismo. Nuestra media está en los 130,000 dólares. Aunque tuvimos este cierre por arriba, habíamos tenido este retesteo de la parte baja en el 50%, pero volvimos a entrar en la zona azul. Y este mes estamos justamente acá aguantando soporte meme, pero eso nos debería llevar con más altas probabilidades a mínimo retestear esta media en los 132,000 dólares. Con eso dicho, pueden ver que volatilidad está contrayendo, está yéndose al punto más bajo de toda la historia y probablemente nos vaya a dar un setup una vez que venga por debajo del 15%. Veamos a un pedo así. Y luego bolas, güey. Y una vez que veamos eso, si precio está apuntando para arriba, vamos con Toño de Valdés para arriba, y si está apuntando para abajo, con Toño de Valdés para abajo. Pero por ahora no nos está diciendo exactamente para dónde, aunque la momentum es alcista, tenemos divergencias alcistas y también tenemos el HPDR apuntándonos de acuerdo a los movimientos, que nos da más probabilidades de venir a estos $132,000. 2 semanas a las 8 de la mañana. 2 semanas nos está preparando un setup de Hamas, aunque ya cambiamos el setup de Hamas por el setup de Israel, el aliado más grande de Estados Unidos en todas las guerras. Este setup sería alcista si se llega a dar apuntando para arriba con el precio. Sería bajista, le llamamos el setup de Irán porque pues Irán es bajista en este caso. Son setups explosivos, como pueden ver, así que por eso se llaman tan profesionalmente. Además de eso, estamos por encima de la media en la de 2 semanas, y eso nos da una más alta probabilidad de venir, no solamente el 38%, la parte alta de la zona azul que está en 114, sino que al 61.8% en los 132, que tiene confluencia con nuestra mensual. Semanal, 8 de la mañana, Trump, Putin, Trump. Ok, semanal, tenemos volatilidad, empieza a contraer, va a ir a buscar bajar por debajo del 15%, es lo que yo me imaginaría, pero por ahora continuamos por encima. Venimos acá a apoyarnos en el 9, en este Dumperuli semanal, y eso nos mandó para arriba, estando por encima del promedio del 9, que está en $106,000, y ese es un punto muy importante. Apréndanse el $106,000 y vean por qué lo están viendo ahorita. Promedio del 9 semanal. Tenemos más chances, estando arriba de él, de venir a la media que está en los 113,500 y de poder romper la media. Nuestro objetivo en la parte alta de la zona azul, 128. Cinco días, empezamos a poner volatilidad nula. Esto está preparando un setup bastante potente. Recuerden que estos setups de semanales que estamos viendo y también de 5 días nos dan movimientos de casi 30%. Si esto expande y digamos que el precio va para arriba de donde estamos ahorita, un 30% nos lleva a, no mames, $140,000, y para abajo 74,500. Así que para que tengamos unos objetivos claros en mente ante este gran potente trade. 2 días. 2 días también apuntando para arriba. Todas las temporalidades hasta la de 2 días están apuntando para arriba, tienen divergencias alcistas y parece que van a dar continuación. Además, en la de 2 días, vean este setup. Muy probablemente el setup de Israel más potente que he visto, preparándose en la de 2 días. Vamos a ver, hace mucho no veía un setup de 2 días de esa magnitud. Así que vamos a ver qué exactamente planea, si va a ser un setup de Israel o va a ser un setup persa. Veamos. Por ahora tenemos el rechazo de la parte alta de la zona azul, siempre y cuando estemos por encima de nuestro promedio del 9 en 106,485, o podríamos venir a rebotar justamente a donde rompimos este canal a la alza. Ahorita quito el HPDR para que lo vean. Hagamos esto y de aquí para arriba, eso es lo que nos da más altas probabilidades para dar. Ahora, la diaria está apuntando para abajo, la diaria está justamente en la media, en los 107,959, y esto se llega a perder la media de esto, se llega a perder el promedio del 9 en los 107,686, y empiezas a ver que rompes el promedio del 21 también en la diaria. Ahí es donde la cosa se pone interesante, porque abajo de $106,000 no empieza a verse bien la cosa y podría darnos ese viaje, el que Alex está dándole más favor, por ahí de los $100,000. Y ahí podríamos analizar, ahí podríamos hacer simplemente un bajo más alto y volver a hacer la misma mamada que hemos estado haciendo. 4 horas, la diaria también está apuntando volatilidad para abajo. Tenemos un setup calentándose acá para que lo sepan. 4 horas, también volatilidad está regresando a cero, es bajista. Ya estamos en el 61.8%, en el 55, rebotando divinamente. Ahora en estos 107,845. La cosa va a ser, ¿vamos a aguantar acá o vamos a ir a visitar el promedio del 100 en los 100? Que esto es más o menos lo que está dictando el trade en los 106,800. De perder los 106, que está justamente, quiero que vean esto. de perder estos 106, que es la zona donde rompimos a la alza, ahí es donde nosotros nos ponemos bajistas, o sea que vamos a tener más resultados para abajo, pero siempre y cuando estemos por encima de, uno, que no rompamos nuestro promedio del 55 justamente en la de 4 horas, que no nos llevemos el 100 a la baja, pero sobre todo, esta es la línea en la arena. Vas a ver tu tabla de 4 horas, es la más fácil, vas a buscar tu SMA 200 y quieres que eso aguante. Arbitrariamente, eso te va a poner en una excelente posición. Ahora, déjenme lo pongo en la diaria para que lo puedan ver sin problema alguno. Pueden ver justamente esto. Chingada madre. Pueden ver esto. Si estamos aguantando el promedio del 9 acá, que está en los 107, 674, probabilidades favorecen a continuación. Si podemos simplemente caer esta línea meme, probabilidades favorecen a la alza. Si podemos caer hasta el 34, que es justamente este canal donde tuviste el breakout primero, luego tuviste un fake out, acá a la alza. Si rompes ese nivel, acá para abajo. Más fácil no lo pueden poner, ¿no? Ahorita, alerta de longs para todos nosotros con una invalidación en los 106,000. Abajo de 106,000 te sales. Alerta de cortos si continúa esto y también rompes esto abajo. Ya tuviste un excelente corto esta mañana. La pregunta es, y anoche, la pregunta es, ¿va a haber continuación o no? Y ahí va a ser cosa tuya de poder medir tu riesgo y ver lo que está haciendo el precio. Así que bastante sencillo. Además, dominancia de Bitcoin está a punto de romper su, entre comillas, la resistencia del promedio del 9. Una vez que lo haga, deberíamos de ver altos más altos. Me parece que estos sí fueron bajos más altos también que esta vela, lo que lo pone literalmente, continúa siendo muy alcista el precio de la dominancia de Bitcoin. Y ahora, la dominancia de Bitcoin, se los hemos dicho sin cansar, siempre y cuando estemos por encima del 63.8% hasta de la media acá, continúas haciendo más altos y bajos más altos. Esto, he estado leyendo muchísimas personas en X diciendo que all season va a venir y no sé qué. No le jueguen a Don Vergas, es mi opinión en esto. Y la razón por qué obviamente hagan lo que gusten. Pero no hay nada en esta tabla que te diga que hay un out season que viene. Todo este tiempo, cada vez que hace esto, que baja acá, que baja acá, que baja acá, que bajó acá, todo el mundo grita, ya viene out season. No va a venir, a menos de que algo ocurra. Y una vez más, el Big Beautiful Bill, no importa que te estén imprimiendo lo que sea, esa expansión de déficit es la misma de siempre, ¿ok? Eso es, la fiesta va a continuar. El problema de quién va a comprarle la deuda de Estados Unidos, resuelto. Lo que dice que van a continuar expandiendo, ¿ok? Continúas esa expansión de déficit. Es irrelevante en este momento. Lo único que es relevante para ustedes, para ti y para mí, es si van a imprimir dinero una vez más, donde el money supply aumente agresivamente de una, como en la pandemia. A menos de que hagan eso, recuerden, desde el 2009 que han impreso una cantidad ridícula de dinero, no han visto inflación. Mínimo no como ahora, es poco a poco. Y eso es lo que busca Estados Unidos. Eso es lo que buscan todos los gobiernos, porque así poco a poco te pueden robar toda tu lana. Entonces, a menos de que vayan a imprimir una cantidad brutal, que tu vecino pueda salirse de sus deudas o que, bueno, tenga dinero para ir a comprar algo en Gucci que no le alcanzaría normalmente, que es lo que pasó en la pandemia. No es como que la gente se quedó con el dinero y hizo más. Eso sería tu indicador de que, pues sí, va a haber alt season. Pero por ahora no hay nada en este planeta que te diga eso. La dominancia de Tether también pueden ver justamente, lo habíamos... Le habíamos puesto esto y ahí va para abajo y justamente vino a apoyarse acá. Si eres alcista en Bitcoin, quieres ver romper estos 469 a la baja, ver a Tether completamente colapsar o mínimo ir a buscar este SMA 200 en el 391. Si llegamos a esa zona, ahí ya será cosa de ver paso a paso qué tanto más podría caer, pero por ahora continúa esta tendencia bajista altos, altos más bajos, aunque habías tenido estos bajos y bajos más altos por ahora, pero yo creo que simplemente el estar abajo de todos estos promedios, viéndolo así tal cual, estando el 9 por encima del 21, etcétera, digo, el 9 por abajo del 55, 34, etcétera, no es una buena señal para esto y literalmente Bitcoin se ve muy alcista. Otra vez, repetido, facilito, abajo de 106 continuaremos y probablemente vayamos a tener un objetivo de 100 en nuestros cortos. También viene una oportunidad de long acá donde estamos, puede ser 107, 106, 500 o 106. Eso podría ser tu oportunidad de long e irte a máximos históricos. Tiene más probabilidad todo de irse a la alza, aunque haya una corrección más bruta de lo que estamos esperando. Recuerda que tenemos se viene un bull moon y cuando se vienen los bull moon, pues pegan recio, cabrón. Cuando pegan recio, nos vamos para arriba. Así que estén al pendiente. Tiene más, si le voy a dar a Bitcoin más probabilidades, simplemente técnicamente hablando, son al alza. Así que mantengan un ojo bien pelado por acá. Se ve muy bien y vamos a darle a la que sigue. Vamos con Alex Solamis o Ethereum.
Yeah,
No, Solana. Okay.
Yeah. I always hammer on ETH, so might as well hammer on Sol today. So,
Please tell me I'm about to be a gazillionaire with my short.
I honestly think you
On
will be,
Solanis?
actually.
That was
Yeah,
a
I
pretty
think
good one.
YTG money will be made on Sol. We'll go through all time frames, and I'll tell you my honest opinion about it. So for me now, Sol is looking quite bearish. It's very obvious, right? You're under the daily EMA 100. After the SFP play, this simply has been resistance. That resistance has lined up nicely with meme line resistance. We've talked about that 155 to 154 being solid resistance and or support on Sol. Right here was very solid support. We got that bullish retest before breaking out. And then here we've started to fall under it. This then instantly puts Sol into a range. There's no reason to get blindsided by that range. You're either then going to play within 141, 142 and back up to 154, 155. Something like this where the extremity lows are always at 135. It's really not until you then start losing 136, 135 on a daily closure where this then starts breaking down. We identified this back in March where we started to really lose that 135, 136. This just led to an easy move down to 120s. So when we're moving forward here, for me, the next objective on Sol is 142. That lines up perfectly with the median, right? We went up to the top of the 38.2%. For me, it seemed like it was shifting into a downtrend. You have lower highs, or let me go to the 2-day. It's an altcoin. Bear with me. Yeah, here. It just looks like, you're shifting into a downtrend with lower highs. But mainly for me, when I'm seeing the daily EMA 100 lined up with meme line resistance, often this makes an easy trade up or down because you know exactly what you need to reclaim. Had Sol been doing this, that's bullish. We then say, okay, SMA 200 is the next target. That did not occur. Instead, you're now getting this flipped into resistance, giving us an easy gauge on risk. So for me now, you have a very nice candle, and you're getting that follow through. And this is all very predictable because we've talked about the weekly silver cross. This is very significant for Sol, because weekly silver crosses up or down really do give us major moves down in both directions, up or down. We also have confluence of a major move coming simply based on weekly volatility. We have weekly volatility at some of the lowest reads ever recorded in Solana's history. This once we expand is gonna give you a major move on Sol. What's the bias? Well, we're losing potentially the weekly 9. This looks like a trap in the sense of you reclaimed it quickly. You still are in lower high posturing. You rejected the 34, and now into this week, you're about to lose the weekly 9. Excuse me, giving you another short trade based on the weekly 9. You're also potentially about to lose the bottom 38.2% on the weekly on very low volatility. You're also then about to weekly silver cross. This is highly significant for me because you're having Again, no one talk about that. Wow, then if we go and back test this ourselves, what has occurred whenever Solana has silver crossed, up or down? Well, there's only been a few occurrences. This did not do a silver cross. Let's go up. We had one silver cross here. You can see this, the 9 and the 21 crossed. And then here you had the 21 crossing the 55. This led to a parabolic move on Sol, where we absolutely went parabolic from that point. Here we retested the 9, so I'll count it from that silver cross retest. That led to a 209% move. Okay, cool. We had one silver cross on the weekly down, similar to what we're at now. Once you lost support, this led to a big move down. This silver cross, let's check the back test of that. So boom. Man, it didn't even back test it, the 9. And look how weak it was after that. So then I'll take it from here. No, I'll take it. We'll take it from the silver cross retest. Why not? 73%. Insane. Mind you, though, this occurred. Now, you could say FTX and whatnot, but the chart was already gearing up for a major move down. Well, it's still looking similar to what we have now. You have a weekly as 38.2% breakdown. You have low volatility, and you're getting potentially, not confirmed yet, a weekly silver cross. That was the recipe for $12 Sol. Okay, cool. And then that was it. So you've only had one silver cross down, one silver cross up. You're about to get the second silver cross for the first time ever in this chart's history. That's highly significant for me. And last time this occurred was during the bear market. This was May of 2022. So that's very significant going into this, because if you're a Sol bull, you definitely should have that on the radar and be absolutely aware. Now, on the flip side, you do have a nice reclaim SFP, right, of the EMA 100. This would constitute a bullish retest. What I could gather from that is if you lose the weekly EMA 100, that to me is going to be absolute confirmation that we're about to capitulate on Sol. And let's look at the last time. Again, we lost that. This weekly just really does give you a lot of interesting points. So the only occurrence where we ever have lost that was here, and Solana ended up dumping directly to the SMA 200, giving you a 28% move. So if that does occur, yeah, that would be a 25% move down. Let's go to the monthly now. Hey, you guys still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. Cool. So the monthly is still very bearish as well. I mean, there's really no reason to be a bull here. Yeah, I know the ETF came out. All that did was just really a liquidity grab. That gave the Academy very beautiful shorts around the 160. For me now, we're under the weekly 9. Let me get the 5 off. So you're under the weekly 9. This monthly 9, my apologies. Monthly. You're under the monthly 9. This is in a bear market. Congratulations.
You know what ETF stands for, right?
No.
Empty their finances.
That's funny. Yeah, this isn't a bear market. I mean, this really is. And I know I'm going to say this low started the lower low. This is going to be looked at as the lower high. I know people were gauging this as, but this is an altcoin. It's very predatory. It's going to wick up. And that's why really the best way is this was the last lower high at 237. That's why this chart's very dirty, because it's going to be hard for bulls to step up. But if you're bullish and you're on the cam, this was the higher low, then you need Solana to break at minimum 188, 187. Until then, this isn't a bear market. You see simply the monthly 9 in October got reclaimed. Since then, you had a very free move up going anytime you tested it, and it slingshot back up as support. Usually does. Here you see a 95% move off the back of that monthly EMA 9. Now you see here it's solidly flipped into resistance. You even have here a shooting star on the monthly, and you're potentially getting follow through, not invalidated yet, that stop. So what we can gather from this is, well, definitely 142 is coming up. That should hold. This has been a big spot. If this does not hold, then you're going to get an easy move down to the 34 at 125. If we go to 125 and we view that zone on the daily, you'll just see you're under all major moving averages. The daily today is about to confirm what we know on Sol, which it's in a bear market. You just need to lose the EMA 100. And then getting back down to that 120s would be a lower low. You take out this low. If you lose this, you have the potential to capitulate down to at minimum $100. This is often a big range. People see this, they scoff at it, but we've seen this many times play out where in one candle it can just wick down very easily. Boom, $100 holds, one candle swipes down. This is a major range. One day, 14%. So if you're seeing that, then if we go back to the monthly, if we go to the 34, it absolutely makes sense that that's sitting right around 120s, because that is literally the last zone. You can just visually see when you lost that and you rejected, this was the start of the bear market. So you have to really ask yourself then, Sol's been a market leader. Why is it looking so bad? And why are we entering into a bear market, technically speaking, if we're in a bull market? Does this have implications for Bitcoin potentially being in a bear market? I have no idea. I mean, it worked out very well when this started to break out and enter a bull market first. So using the same logic and what I know with the 5-day in a downtrend with volatility contracted, yeah, you're not at all looking like you're in a bear market on Bitcoin. Just look at the difference. You're very healthily above the monthly 9. I'll go to CME, so there's not a lot of fluff on that chart. See? Very obviously above the monthly 9. Snapshot that and look at Sol. Disgusting. So why is Sol looking so much worse? And why is the weekly about to give us a silver cross? And why is volatility literally set up for the lowest period we've ever had in the history of this chart on the monthly? To me, I don't know why. I don't know what could really collapse Solana. But that is all just very valid. Now, you can see, where are we wrong? Where am I wrong? There's always an invalidation. You can't just be a perma bear without an invalidation. Of course not. I'm wrong if we go to 142, that's the median bounce, and it bounces and we hold. If 142 holds, then that should take you back up to the top of the range. It's all crypto ever does is range. 155 is the spot. If you start reclaiming that on a daily, it's going to give you a move up to the SMA 200. We know the SMA 200 is at 166. This is significant because if this gets reclaimed, that has implications for the monthly 9 getting reclaimed at 158. And then boom, we're not in a bear market. We then can easily trend shift potentially if we can take out this high 167 and move up, start breaking out, move up closer to that 188. But it'll really start with 155 getting reclaimed. And until then, this is just looking like the start of a bear market in Sol, which should make everyone worried because we all were here when Sol was breaking out and it's a market leader. Alejandro always talks about that. Sol on the macro isn't really looking the best, actually. And, added confluence to the 140 region, this range, you have the monthly 9 here. If the monthly EMA 9 got lost, then that has implications for the bi-monthly 9 to get lost. You see here that the EMA 21 is sitting right around that 112. So if I was aggressively trying to long this, I'd be very cautious that Solana is gearing up for at minimum 20% move down. If you lose 136, I'd just be very cautious about that. And yeah, I'll look at the Bitcoin pairing, of course, because that is the most important chart.
On the 3-month, also to add confluence to To your analysis, I was going to say confluence to your bullshit. That's what my wife calls everything I do, by the way. Are you going to your bullshit? Are you doing your bullshit? Are you done with your bullshit? On the quarterly, the 9 on Sol is at 137.69. Oh no, you froze.
Why is your quarterly different than mine? What chart are you looking at?
Oh, well, probably that.
No, I heard it. Why is your quarterly different than mine?
I got Coinbase.
What chart are you on?
Coinbase.
Okay, I'm on Binance.
What do you got on the
SMA, and so
on the EMA 9 on that one?
132. So it's around that zone. And I like yours more. It gives me more confidence of my zone at 136, 137. Just, look at a chart. If it fits your bias, that's the chart I'm going to use. No, I'm just kidding. I think this has more data, though. I'm not sure. 2020. That's how far it goes back here. So, but wait, it did come out in 2020. So it should. Yeah, we should be at the same amount. So, yeah. Weird. Yeah. And it's like, let me look at this candle. It's really just like doji. So indecision. Yeah. So it's like watch 142. It just makes sense. And I might, I have a short running on Sol. I might, TP there, but with what we know on the weekly, this should give you more confidence to hold. Now, Farn brought up a good point before I talked about Sol, which was you shouldn't front run silver crosses. So I would not be trading or really just trading on this. But I would just be, if you're in a short and you're in really good profit, I would be watching the levels at 142, 136. Understand that once this crosses, then you'll probably get that move up to the 9 where you can add, and then we should dump. If history is just going to, be the same, which the last 2 times you got epic moves on silver crosses. Now, right, if volatility was at extremes, this just this seems primed to take a silver cross seriously. I wouldn't always hold weight on silver crosses, but this is significant. So, and we even have a volatility set up on the weekly. And let's check the weekly HBDR. And you're even in a breakdown here. So it's just, a lot of stuff pointing to that. 12-hour, let's watch the SMA 200. If that keeps holding, you can cover your shorts. Price divergence plays out. Maybe a move back to the EMA 100. But ideally, this is just going to be the move down to here. That would be nice. And we've seen this before. Solana likes to just really, when we start going down, it's like one of the best things to short. Now, would I short this now? No, don't. If you're not positioned, don't short this now. Please don't short squeeze this for me. But rather just wait, wait for the daily. We know that the EMA 100 is getting, we know that here the daily 9 is getting deviated. So that just instantly opens up another trade around here. So all eyes now on this low, July 1st low. Then this will start looking like a lower high, and this will be your lower low break. You get that bounce, you test the 9, you get your lower high, your ad zone. So that's Solana. Nothing fun happens for shorts until you break 136. But we can use the weekly and the higher time frames to get confident in our short idea. And it's funny because down here we did talk about a bounce. We did not give shorts on this move down. Like on this green candle, we didn't get stopped out. We patiently waited. It wasn't until this week where we started to short Sol. And I never forgot about this potentially weekly silver crossing. So we even said if this does green dildo, this will just cause these to pinch even more, giving you more of a likelihood of this silver crossing. And that's exactly what happened. So when I see that, and we already talked about it, I do have to be confident here on a move down at minimum to 141 to 136. At current price action, that's still a 3 to 7% move. So pretty nice. Let's look at the Bitcoin pairing. Again, the most important chart. And let's see what we're looking at. Cool. So the weekly 9's been the rejection point. Very easy chart. This isn't a downtrend. Now, the hopium is that you're going to hold support. This will be a throwback and will bounce. But for me, this isn't a weekly breakdown. You have volatility as well. Above the moving average, rejected 15%. Wouldn't take much to get this above 15% at this point. This is, in my opinion, brewing the potential for a move all the way down to that 10202. This is a very big range here. 25%. I don't find that a coincidence where we have all the bearish setups on Sol Tether, where like we really could move 20 to 25%, and then the next range on Sol BTC is 25%. It's like, oh, well, that's easy. You've seen this before. We've capitulated down pretty aggressively before in 2022. And then even here, when it got reclaimed, you've aggressively pumped. So this is a very volatile spot for Sol. All eyes, though, on that spot. You can gauge it on the daily. So the daily has almost hit that. The HBDR, it looks like a failed breakout, my apologies, failed breakout, while now you're losing the daily 9. So, if Sol started to bounce around here, would it surprise me? No. But I personally want to see this get lost. Make your move down to the median, and then you can like retest this into resistance.
Can I show you real quick something that I just saw on my chart?
Yeah.
Which again
Please.
is the Coinbase one. Let me get closer. We lost the EMA 5 on January, right? On the quarterly.
Correct.
Then we rejected it kind of here, and now we're coming down to the 9. So it's even the 5 we couldn't hold. It's a bearish retest, at least it seems so, and now it's actually following through. So I'll bring yours back on.
And see, that's interesting because there's just a lot of people trapped, I think, in Sol on that ETF news. Here,
I think the people are trapped on the Trump coin and
yeah, and that too. And that's true though too. When he, for some reason, wants to invest in the reserve, these shit coins. Well, let's see how that works out when these dump 40%. Just not, and then let's see if they buy. Like they should buy then. But I mean, starting that at the like literal top of Sol is just kind of stupid. I am really
there's more value in a strategic marijuana reserve than a strategic Solana reserve.
Literally,
that there is. But you know that they hiked up taxes in California for weed, which they were already insane.
They did that recently.
Yeah, no wonder the black market is thriving so much.
Well, now it's completely done. Like they're gonna bankrupt every single weed company because before it was impossible.
Having a terrible time. I've talked to people that have dispensaries out there, and it's
impossible.
Yeah,
my license when we had the business was like 50 grand a month, and we could barely do 2 things. Lord. And on top of, well, you pay the license and then you pay taxes on top of it, and it's like literally you keep nothing.
All that fucking product and then more taxes. Yeah, it's fucked, honestly. It's crazy.
And then they go and steal your money. Like if you're doing well, they show up to your facility and then they come in, they raid it, they take your cash. It's incredible. It was like done for that basically.
Yeah.
I need to find some way to charge my computer.
Take mine.
Have a wallet down.
Take mine. Good, sir. So yeah, Solana is now, I mean, the daily today is going to be quite important for me. Don't forget it breaks. And so I'll let you.
What are we watching this morning? Weekly and daily, right?
Yeah.
That gave us that bias.
Watching the daily today on Sol BTC. You want to see if support holds because this could be in a, bullish retest, right? You see that. You have little price divergence, took out the last lower high. Like this very well could bounce. Shorts like me, front running that silver cross, get absolutely decimated. I'm not front running the silver cross, but you know what I'm saying. If they're like playing that and it doesn't confirm. And so today you're watching, yes, the daily. You want to see this and mark this on your chart. 13538 get lost. And then on this tether pairing, very simply, you want to see the daily 9 get lost. That'll be it. I mean, we've seen this before. Once the daily 9 gets lost, generally leads to just downside moves on Sol. What else was I gonna say though? I guess that's it. Yeah. $15-day looks god awful. Looks like it's on the verge of collapsing with the volatility setup. Or no, it fell under the moving average, but still, it's still like combusting. It's still going. Oh, look at that, 15-day silver cross already. And what you have now is this range solidified, so you should look at this as support, and this is resistance. But Sol's been so weak that you lost it, you retested it, you rejected, and then you couldn't even get it up. 14873, 148, slight, like a slight high, but again, it's just like the predatoriness of alt. Because then if longs ape that, oh, the trend shift, it's like, well, I know how these altcoins work, and that's exactly how they work. That's why, like, you know, trading Bitcoin's often easier.
Yeah, altcoins are brutal, dude.
They're just, yeah, they're fucked. Yeah, that's it. I mean, so that's it. I'm very bearish on Solana, and I do think it's in a bear market. So I do think that has implications for Bitcoin. I won't call that a bear market on Bitcoin at all because there's nothing telling me that, but I can say it on Solana, and it isn't a bear market. And if no one's talking about that, then great. It's probably an easy money, in my opinion. It's just going to be dependent on 136 to 141. That's it. So watch that. You can easily on your own chart go put 136.50 a line, another one at 141.85, resistance at 154 until you get either a breakout or a breakdown. Nothing will happen. Very well could just do this, and then gives bulls the upper hand to reclaim the monthly 9. Once the monthly 9's reclaimed, you're going to break out. So in that sense, you still are at a pretty interesting spot. You're not very far away from the monthly 9. And what we've seen before is once you start breaking away from the monthly 9, you don't really tend to retest it for a while. So yeah, just understand that. And even here, the monthly is still in a breakdown. And I just think that's so interesting to see that, because it doesn't matter what I say, really. If the HBDR is telling you already this is bearish as fuck and it's in a breakdown with volatility at the lowest point ever in this chart's history, that's just alone, that alone should be a cause of concern. Next target is 129 to 120. And then look at this. You lose 120, which is a 61.8%.
Yep.
Big drop, $60. There I could see a bottom on Sol.
That's what I would expect to.
Yeah, I could see. If you don't hold that, yikes, you're probably going to go back down to bad prices to like $20.
Can I also say, if we found the top relative on a relative basis when you're looking at price, right? Like the final top of 2021 was about 259, 269. I can't remember, somewhere along those lines. And then this year, 2024, we had what? $300 was the top.
Yeah, base 295, which is very predatory too. Like how many motherfuckers had TP for 300?
Well, that, and it was literally a piece of shit move, but it was also for 1 second. That's literally when Trump announced Trump coin. It went up and then all the way back down. What I'm getting at is relative price. It's almost very similar. So Solana, that's like $12 at the bottom 15. It's like very realistic if it plays within the same, like if it plays the same game, basically from highs to lows.
So I'm feeling pretty good about this because I remember last Thursday we were looking at Sol and it looked real bad, like what we're saying, but we also weren't convinced that it was gonna, like, we're gonna get the move yet. So we actually really did play Solana pretty well this week. I'll pat myself on the back. And that was really mainly you too as well. You're always looking at Sol. You've made me a lot of money on Sol even this morning. So when you brought it up and you're like, sorry, I brought Sol up. No, keep bringing it up because you do, like, for some reason, you're just timing with it is beautiful. It is.
I
really
don't get
good.
it, but it works.
So thank you. Honestly, you're always thanking me. Thank
So
you. I'm up
to add on
$1,000.
to my wonderful luck, I just looked at my phone and there's green lines all over it, and I think the screen is broken, and I have no idea why.
Are you
No
sure it's not the
way.
Matrix? Does it say Neo, wake up?
Look at my
Oh,
camera.
wow. Yeah. Hang on. Let me
I have
add
no
you.
idea.
Look at that.
I have no fucking idea what happened to this.
Oh, bro. Are you in your trading accounts? Like on
Yep.
something else?
But you hang on. You get a Apple support, Apple Care, right?
You
Yeah,
should
but
fly back to
it doesn't work
America.
in Mexico.
Oh no. Oh,
Damn.
I have to go to either Mexico City or go to America.
you're gonna have to buy a $20
Well, I was
Android.
thinking we were thinking about going to America real quick. Anyways, that could actually work out nicely.
If
You
I
know
go
what
to
I'm saying?
America, I can't re-enter
El País.
because my passport.
All right. Well, we'll figure this out before we go into Eve. Well, probably not after, probably.
Probably not. Yeah, after.
I was gonna say, yeah, that sounds like very optimistic. Ok, estamos viendo Solamis y esta es la primera vez que les pongo la tabla de 3 meses porque no hay tantos datos, empezó en el 2020. Pero les tengo que decir esto. En la trimestral habíamos perdido el promedio del 5, es esta línea verde que va por acá, la pueden ver perfectamente. La habíamos tomado por primera vez y originalmente acá, en octubre del 2023 con el setup de Hamas, nuestro promedio del 5. El 9 empezó a popular acá, por lo que fue lo mismo, ¿no? Nos llevó hasta este máximo histórico en 295 y después caímos. Vale, lo primero que tengo que reconocer es perdimos el promedio del 5, la línea verde. La pierdes en la primera vela de enero y luego vienes a hacer un retesteo bajista. Acá te dice, no te preocupes, ya cerré por encima y huevos te empieza a tirar este mes. 137 es donde está el promedio del 9. Eso es la línea en la arena en Solana. Y aparte coincide divinamente con mi línea meme. Te llevas esto para abajo, te vas a llevar este mínimo. Pero de corbata, cabrón. Y ahora, una vez más, Solana, les quiero enseñar la mensual en vez de la trimestral porque no hay tantos datos acá, pero a alguien se le hace alcista esta tabla y muchos dirán, sí, güey, porque tuviste este máximo acá. Esto parece un blow off top y esto fue el comportamiento de un blow off top, que duró un día el precio, ni siquiera un día, fue cuando Trump sacó su monedita y por 20 minutos el precio subió a 2.95 y luego volvió a caer. Eso es un blow off top, damas y caballeros. Ok, vamos a la mensual, que siempre decimos en estos en vivos, damas y caballeros, siempre y cuando estemos por encima de nuestro promedio del 9, estamos en tendencia alcista. Y esto lo retomamos justamente acá en septiembre del 2023 con el setup de Hamas, como de que no, vámonos para arriba. Tuvimos un cierre aquí abajo, pero instantáneamente al siguiente mes lo recuperamos y vámonos hasta acá. Pero en febrero lo perdimos con fuerza. Lo venimos a retestear. Estoy hablando de la línea azul. Ese es mi promedio del 9. Voy a quitar el 5. Bueno, no. Ahorita van a ver por qué. Venimos a retestear. Nos da un rechazo. Estamos hasta acá abajo. Luego subimos. Te engaña con esta vela, tomar liquidez una vez más, de que, güey, ya hiciste un alto más alto que este. Pero en realidad es un bajo más alto que este. Entonces, vienes acá, te emocionas, dices, a huevo, ahora sí voy a poderle pagar al tío Salo porque mis criptomonedas van a subir y le debo una lana y huevos, te tiro una vez más, tienes tu cierre aquí abajo, ni siquiera por encima del promedio del 5. Luego tienes esta vela, la siguiente, ¡pum!, junio. Bueno, ahí vamos una vez más, bolas para abajo, el promedio del 5 cae agresivamente y mínimo lo aguanta. Y ahí dices, ok, esperanza, podemos tal vez recuperar el promedio del 5 y después el 9. Pero ahorita estás a centavos, 55 centavos de perder el promedio del 5 también mensual. Y ahí te llevaría a testear el 21. El 21 solamente lo has perdido una vez. Esto, en marzo. Si lo vuelves a perder, vas muy probablemente a perder tu 34. Nunca, desde que populó, has perdido el promedio del 34. Te llevas esto y Solana va, pero $78 sería lo siguiente. ¿Ok? Voy a también poner esto. Volatilidad en Solana está preparando el movimiento más agresivo que ha dado en toda su historia, desde el punto más bajo, y aparte tiene la media de la volatilidad encimita de la volatilidad. ¿Y eso qué nos dice? Que podría tener un movimiento explosivo a la alza rápido. Voy a agregar un poco de confluencia a esto. Me gusta Solana. Solana es de cierta forma fácil de tradear. El problema es lo volátil, lo rápido que se mueve. Ok, estando acá, estamos por debajo de la media y hemos estado por debajo de la media desde acá. La perdimos también en esta vela en febrero. No hemos podido retomarla, nos ha rechazado cada vez. Esta ni siquiera la fue a tocar, lo que me dice que hay mucha debilidad, pero también fuimos a descansar en 61.8%, que es básicamente el siguiente escenario. De no poder aguantar los 126.25 y te llevas este mínimo, siguiente objetivo va a ser no llevarte los 95 si eres alcista. Ahora eres bajista, este es otro nivel. Estás hablando de literalmente irte por acá a los 76 antes de hablar de cualquier otro objetivo loco. Aunque otra noticia bastante interesante, en mi opinión, en Solana es esto. Del último máximo que tuvimos, que fue acá, lo pueden ver, en 200, déjenme pongo acá la vela, no lo voy a poder hacer así. En 260, 3 años después, solamente tuvimos un máximo 13% arriba. 13% arriba. ¿Por qué? Por cuánto, básicamente hay inflación en Solana, ¿no? Porque están produciendo más tokens. Si solamente tienes 13% para arriba, me voy a ir a donde llegamos a los $8. ¿Cómo pondría 13% arriba de esto? O sea, literalmente Solana tendría, si tuvo la habilidad de solamente hacer esto acá, ¿alguien me podría explicar por qué no podría llegar a un pedo acá en los 15? Y yo sé, se vería del culo, pero ¿por qué no? Ahora, no estoy diciendo que es a donde vaya ahorita. Lo único que estoy diciendo es, no se ve bien la tabla en estos momentos. Les voy a dar exactamente todo ya de cerca. Lo que hemos estado viendo es la semanal. Esto fue lo que me hizo hacer el trade de la mañana. Vean esto. Rechazo perfecto esta línea meme que viene acá, que lo ha detenido totalmente. Además, en la semanal viene un cruce plateado, cabrón. Donde ves esta línea amarilla de acá y la naranja. Si llega la amarilla a pasar debajo de la naranja, ese sería un cruce plateado a la baja. Ahora, la última vez que Solamis en la semanal tuvo un cruce plateado a la baja, no lo tuvo, pero fue acá atrás, debió haber sido acá atrás. Solamente ha tenido un cruce plateado a la alza y ve todo lo que subió. ¿Cuánto crees que baje a la baja? Si es que lo llega a dar. ¿Y dónde está tu oportunidad de entrada? En los 157. Esta línea de acá en los 156 va a ser tu resistencia importante a romper si eres alcista en Solana. Quieres llevarte esta línea así, cerrar y por encima, empezar a catapultarte de ahí, vámonos para arriba. Por ahora, lo que tiene más chance, esto, simplemente por todas las temporalidades donde están apuntando, es ir acá después del cruce plateado, rechazar, ir acá, rebotar, tal vez subir hasta acá, rechazar y dar continuación a la baja. Es lo que yo pensaría Solana va a hacer. Ahora, vamos a hacerlo un poco más cercano, pero primero les voy a poner el HPDR para que lo vean. Estamos cayendo de la parte de la zona azul. Cayendo de la zona azul, nuestro siguiente objetivo va a ser el promedio del 100 en los 140 o hasta los 137. Este rango es súper importante, lo tengo en línea meme por alguna razón, ¿no? Para mí es muy importante este rango, porque una vez que rompes este rango a la baja, tienes caídas agresivonas, lo puedes ver acá. Y también a la alza tienes movimientos que te llevan a la parte alta, lo pueden ver acá. Diaria, pueden ver también un poco de lo mismo. Nos rechaza el promedio del 100. El promedio del 100 llevábamos por encima de él, lo perdimos acá, hicimos un SFP, lo volvimos a testear y nos rechazó y nos está rechazando. ¿Y esto dónde está? En los 154. Una vez más, 156 te pone en la libre de esto, ¿ok? La cosa es, estás perdiendo tu promedio del 9 que está en los 148. Todos tus demás promedios están arriba. ¿Cuál es tu siguiente objetivo? La media. Ese es el objetivo natural, con más probabilidades. $141. De que no te aguante la media, 134 se vuelve un objetivo real. Y aquí más te vale encontrar, o en el 50% en 131, el fondo de esto. Si no, Solana está cocinadísimo. Además de que yo sí creo que está cocinadísimo. Déjenme quito el HPDR para darles esto lo más sencillo posible. Y pueden verlo, o sea, esto es el máximo histórico de Solana. Desde acá arriba, perfectamente nos ha rechazado esta línea. Este es local. No hemos ni siquiera más de esta vez y esta poderla pasar. La fuerza venía de acá. Además de eso, el SMA 200 de la diaria lo perdimos en marzo, fue febrero, y desde entonces no lo hemos podido superar. Y la cosa es, ¿vamos a poder superarlo y romper a la alza? Es bastante sencillo. Esta línea que viene desde acá también coincide con el SMA 200. Llegas a romper esta zona en los 156 para arriba, te empiezas a cerrar por acá. Vámonos al cielo y al más allá. Pero todo esto tiene cara de rechazo y esto parece que ya te dio el rechazo, el SMA 200 y te hizo el front run acá. Y ahora esto simplemente podría caer, venir acá y continuar cayendo. Por eso hicimos este short en la mañana. Estaba diciendo Alex, en lo que él veía Bitcoin, yo estaba viendo Solamis, porque este se me hizo una movida mucho más fácil. Y ahí va, ahí va. Siguiente nivel a romper, 145 a la baja. Abajo de los 145 te va a llevar muy probablemente a los 137. A la alza, quieres simplemente recuperar esta zona en los 154, 156. Yo diría 156 para sentirte bien. Eso sería lo primero, poder aguantar en los 156. No tienes que ni siquiera llevarte esto por ahora. Y una vez que empiece a consolidar por acá con 3 cierres diarios, podríamos empezar a argumentar que podríamos venir a retestear esto, tal vez el SMA 200 y tal vez romper a la alza. Pero por ahora, en todas las temporalidades, Solana es bajista. No tiene nada de alcista. Y sobre todo, viéndolo en la semanal con este cruce plateado que nos amenaza, el SMA 200 en los 101, que va muy probablemente a convergir con mi línea meme aquí abajo en los 104, 90 y tantos, es un imán del precio. También venimos y habíamos hecho un SFP del EMA 100, que no lo habíamos perdido desde cuándo, lo habíamos tomado simplemente en noviembre del 2023 con el CERP de Hamas. Venimos y hicimos un SFP. Luego hicimos otro. ¿Qué pasa? Mientras más martillas un nivel, más probabilidades tienes de romperlo. Ahora, este sería el segundo toque del promedio del 200, lo que no me haría pensar que si llegamos a caer acá, vas a simplemente caer. Lo que yo pensaría es el trade potente sería algo así, así, rechazo el 100, el 200 está acá y eso te lleva para acá arriba y acá tienes otro rechazo y vámonos para abajo. Es lo que yo pensaría que Solana tiene yendo. ¿Dónde estamos mal? Llévate en cualquier tipo de wicazo en chinga, 168. Con eso, todo esto, lo que te estamos diciendo está mal y esto no va a continuar bajando y va a dar, estaría dando vuelta porque voltearía todo esto. Pero por ahora, bajista de a madre es poco. Bajista de a madre es poco. All right, señor, we're ready for your ETH. Oh, shit, you left and now you're back. There you go. Throw me your screen, por favor. For the Ethereums.
All right. Switch to ETH.
How's JP Morgan's money going?
I'm sure they're doing well. Do I want to which one has the most data? Let me see what this low is real quick. 107, 130. It's 10. 1 second, my bad. I'm adjusting my stop loss on my position. Almost done. Sorry about that, fellas.
No. You should be sorry about it. Absolutely.
The fuck? Why does it say I don't have a stop loss? I do.
You see BTCC?
there we go.
Refresh the page.
Bluff.
No, bluffing is normally good.
All right, there we go. I got it fixed. Now it's appearing. 107.
Damn, ETH
There
is
we
not
go.
looking great.
Beautiful. There we go. Beautiful. All right. So I will switch to the higher.
Oh, that's a
time
2 hour.
frames.
Okay. I was like, what the fuck?
Let me switch to the quarterly. All right, so on the quarterly on Ethereum, we have on this last quarterly close, we did reclaim the bottom 38.2%. Which, if you notice, the last time that on the quarterly we reclaimed the bottom 38.2% was right of here in October of 2023, and this was, if you guys remember, the United States setup we had on Bitcoin. We had some massive busting action, and the next one quarterly candle we tapped the median, and we get a close over the median? Ever so slightly got a close over the median. On the one before that, where we reclaimed 38.2%, was all the way back here. What did we do in the next quarterly candle? We went straight up to the median of the next quarterly candle. So right now, if the trend does hold true, if what I'm trying to say, if the trend does hold true, we will in this next quarterly candle, within this next 2 months and 27 days, tap the median. And right now, the median is sitting at, I believe, significantly new all-time highs at around $5,891. So technically, you need 3 to make a trend. You only have 2, so there is not a trend. But if that relationship holds true as it has done for the past 2 times, that would take us to almost $6,000 on ETH. I'm a little skeptical about that. Not just a little. I'm quite skeptical about that. So what I would need for to be a confirmation on that is I want to see, at a minimum, I want to see a quarterly close over about $3,745. If I get that, then I'll be on this completely on board of the side of, all right, bulls did it, and we're probably going to see $6,000 ETH. But the only reason why I'm even mentioning it is because it is something that's interesting that 2 times so far, when we've reclaimed the bottom 38.2%, in the next quarterly candle, we went straight up to the median. You don't necessarily have to close over the median. You did this time over here in 2021, but at the very least, you get a tap of the median. And right now, it's at all-time highs. Although if it doesn't, the idea of the median moving is not going to be relevant, because in both occasions it happened in the next candle. So that would be in this candle where we reclaimed the 38.2% on the previous one, and then this one theoretically should go to the median. Right now, momentum is just starting. Well, and what goes along with that is momentum is just starting to flip back up on the quarterly. This is the first time momentum has started flipping back up freshly on the quarterly since about late 2023. And you guys remember what happened in late 2023? Price on Ethereum was trading at about $1,500, and we went up to about $4,100. That was the only time this cycle that Ethereum has traded over $4,000. And volatility is now also in an expansion phase, right at that moving average, and still technically in expansion. Go to the monthly. Monthly right now is also starting to freshly flip back up on momentum, while volatility is technically in a contraction phase, but has not confirmed that yet on a close. If it does confirm volatility contraction with momentum to the upside, then that will be leaning more bearish, and you should be on the look for a lower high. But if momentum stays in an expansion phase, then that will give the favor significantly to the bulls. If you look at momentum right now, do we have? Let's see. Is that a higher low? No, that's a lower low, so there's no divergence possible. What the bulls want to see another move back into the high 3000s, and to see another move into that $4,000 area from before that we haven't seen since about, what was it, March, I believe, is you want to see a close over our previous rejective wick high, which right now on the monthly, our last rejective wick high is right around $2,880, which is also slightly above this meme line, and it's almost perfect exactly at that 50%. If you see a close over that $2,880 level, then that's going to give you basically a free move to the 38.2%. And at that point, I'm going to be on the side that Ethereum is probably breaking out, and we're very likely going to be going to a new all-time high from there. And that correlates with momentum flipping back up from very extreme levels. Last time momentum flipped back up from these extreme levels, we did see very significant moves. Like if you see this one, for example, this was a bounce of about 63% to the upside. Let's take this one over here. This was a move up about 79% to the upside. Take this one over here. This one did end up failing from COVID, or not really failing, because you did get a very nice move up. And that was about 125% to the upside. So each one of these moves, whether or not they end up going lower, they still give you a significant move to the upside. And right now, you've only really seen how much of a move to the upside? Basically negligible. 6% to the upside. I moved to about that 38.2% right now, sits at about 28% to the upside. If we were to take roughly about 50 to 60%, what does that give us? Somewhere between about $3,800 to about $4,000. That all prophesized $4,000 number. But on the counterpoint, as long as you are closing below this 21 EMA, and specifically, as long as you are trading below this wick low, you should assume it's bearish. Because if you look at the monthly trend right now, you have a high, you have a low, you got a closing lower high, you got a closing lower low. This isn't a monthly downtrend. So the trend is your friend. So you are going to have to assume that one, as long as you're trading below this wick high, or you're closing below this 21 EMA, that odds are more likely that you're going to come back down and retest this 55. Once you start closing over the 21 EMA, then you can stop being cautious of that 55 EMA. But the more logical trade in this zone right now would be a short, and your stop would be this wick high. So right now your risk is a little high; it's about 15%, versus your gain is not also really that much. It's more of a do nothing zone, more of a no trade zone, because your gain is somewhere around 10%. So your risk is more than your gain. But if this one does play out, your next target is going to be somewhere around this 100, which that one is going to be the one where it actually starts becoming profitable. That is about like 37%. So as of this moment, it's not really smart to short, but it would be more smart than it is to long. But the more smart short would be the closer you get to this wick high. As close as possible as you can get to this wick high, you slap your stop loss at this wick high, and then if you do get stopped, you take a minimum loss, and then you can just flip long. Let's go to the 2 week. 2 week right now is flipped up on momentum, very close to getting into the bullish control zone. We made a lower low on momentum, so there's not any possible bullish divergence. And volatility is now just now starting to enter into an expansion phase, and price action is right at this at the cluster of EMAs of the 21 and the 55. We came very, very, very close to getting a silver cross to the downside, and it's still possible. As long as we are closing below about 2,525 on this next one, maybe two closes max, this is going to silver cross to the downside. But there is some hopium right now that in this next 2 days and 8 hours that the bulls can close over that 21 EMA, or at the very least the 55 EMA, that the silver cross is not going to happen. And then what happens when you come very close to doing a silver cross and then not do it is all the people that front ran that silver cross are going to get either stopped out or they're going to be closing their positions, which then gives you a large move in the opposite direction. Whereas the silver cross on the downside would give you a dump if confirmed. When it doesn't get confirmed, it usually gives you a pump. And I'll see if I can give you an example. Let's see. Very close. Well, we came very close, but not quite.
You looking for a silver cross?
I'm looking for there's somewhat an example when it comes close to silver crossing and then it doesn't. This is sort of somewhat of an example. It came really not as close, but it came kind of close, and then and then the EMA started diverting away from each other, and that came along with a massive pump on price. So if price action does manage to reclaim, at the very least, the 55 EMA, preferably the 21, the silver cross is not going to happen, and then these EMAs are going to divert away from each other, and that'll very likely give you a very, very large pump along with it. A little bit lower, and then if you look at the jewel on the 2-week, we have the jewel flipping back around in the bearish control zone and giving you a buy signal. So let's see what type of results we get on Ethereum on the 2-week with a buy signal on the jewel. Just as a side thought, don't you guys think calling this indicator the jewel is a little arrogant?
Well, it is.
The jewel.
It is pretty good though. But yeah, I think it's brilliant. I like that branding and all that bullshit.
452%. 14,200%. Quite very tranquilo. Not bad. Calls it the jewel and then hits you with the $2,000 price tag. It's priced like a jewel too.
It is like a legitimate.
$113%. So somewhere around 90 to 100% seems to be that minimum move. %, very close to 90%. And whenever Ethereum does do its busting action moves, it does them very fast. 67%. That seems to be the low end move now. How much have we done on this one now? About 60%. Very interesting. That shifts things a little bit. Goes more along the idea of that short with the stop at your wick high.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what that 90 to 100% move would be. Roughly about 3,400 to 3,600, right along with my meme line. Very cool. The confirmation for that is going to be any tick above about 2,880. Sorry?
I'm sorry, for what type of setup? Because you said a short setup and then you went and measured up.
Yeah, the because right now we've done the 60% move so we filled that 60% medium move. If we do the 90% higher end move, that would be around that level here. And the confirmation for
I
that
see what you're
90%
saying.
move is going to be getting above this wick high, which would stop out the short.
Got it.
Go to weekly. Come on. Come on. This is slow as shit.
Just give it 40 minutes. Maybe wrap a little bit.
DJ Jorgito, necesito.
That's pretty good.
Rapido.
That's pretty good.
Internetito.
Yo con mis dos gatitos. That's your two little cats. See? Adding.
Chilling with my gatito.
There you go. Now it's populating. All it needed was some rap. Some good traditional rap.
It needed an appearance from DJ Jorgito.
DJ Khaled. We the best. We fat as fuck.
Why is it not?
Throw it a little refresh. There you go.
There we go. On the weekly, currently momentum is pointed to the downside, with volatility currently contracting, which is some hopium for the bulls. And right now on the weekly, we are getting a very nice jewel signal. We're getting the pink crossing up the yellow and the light blue making its way into the bullish control zone. But the jewel is currently losing the buy signal and shifting over into a neutral signal. With going alongside the momentum flipping down, does give you probabilities of correcting at a minimum to the 9 EMA, which you have corrected to as of this moment, and you are back over the 200. So if you do close over the 200, that would make it more the odds more into the favor of the bulls for another retest of that 200, and then that likely gives you a spring into somewhere around the median. The median right now is at about $2,680-ish. If you can get a weekly close over that median, then I'm going to be on the side that we probably are going to be breaking these wick highs, and then we're probably going to be retesting somewhere around that 3,000 zone. But until it's confirmed, I'm not going to be front running anything, just waiting for that confirmation. And right now, the weekly is putting in a possible hidden bullish divergence, which will be confirmed with any close over about $2,682. 5 days currently very close to flipping back up right at that moving average, while volatility is also very close to going into an expansion phase. And the 5 day is still on that dual buy signal with the pink crossing above the yellow. And that happened in this consolidation phase. So meaning that the move from that cross has not yet played out. And as long as we are closing over about $2,271, that is still possible to play out. And it's still more likely than not playing out as long as we are over that level.
So it would be a long opportunity.
Yeah, right around here,
2,200,
2,000, I'd front run a little bit. I'd put it at like 2,280, stop loss at this wick low.
Nice.
So 2280, let's see how much you're risking. Risking about 7 to 8%.
I hate when he does that bullshit.
What?
The wick, either high or low, is so fucking big, and he does it on purpose to not invalidate. Yeah, it's a piece of shit.
So then, if you put your stop loss there, you're taking a big loss, and then you're scared.
Yeah, and he doesn't let you use a lot of leverage either.
Yeah, and then also a lot of people tend to front run their stops whenever the stop will give you a big loss.
A big loss.
And they're like, oh, it's gonna hit anyway, so I'll just front run it, and then it never hits.
God, I learned that the hard way. Fuck.
Yeah, that's happened to me a couple of times
Of course.
where I take the loss because I'm like, oh, it'll hit my stop loss anyways. Never hits and ends up going to TP.
Yep. It's the worst feeling in the
Then
world.
then you feel like a fucking retard.
Yeah, because you fucked your own self. There's nothing else there. There's no excuses.
And off of that 2280 area, your minimum move is going to be your median, which you do very likely break, but that's going to be your first TP zone. And that median is like a 14% move to the upside. So you got 2-to-1 odds right here. And then your TP2, which is the more likely target, is going to be the top 38.2%. And right now, that's about like 32 or 33% versus 6.7% against you. That's I don't know, I can't do the math, like more than 5-to-1 odds. Pretty good. And this is somewhat looking like kind of a bull flag right here.
Yeah.
2 days now also flipped to the upside a moment. I'm getting very close to getting into the bullish control zone. Ethereum is a fucking piece of shit, so it doesn't have that possible hidden bullish divergence right here. If it was Bitcoin, it would have, because Bitcoin loves to put in those setups where the bearish divergences lead into the bullish divergences. Ethereum just puts in bearish divergences and leaves it at that. Right now, the 2-day on the Joule is flipping into a buy signal. No, once again, no hidden bullish divergence because it made a lower low because it's a piece of shit. And right, we are very close to getting a sell signal on the 2-day with the pink close to crossing below the yellow. The way to avoid this is if we can maintain a closure over this this 100 EMA right around 2,471, and then ideally, as soon as possible, we want to see a close back over this 38.2% at around $2,536. If we can get that within the next, let's say, I'll see how close they are, within the next like 2 maximum closures, then we can avoid this sell signal. If you don't do that, the sell signal will confirm, and then what's a lot more likely is that this is going to be our next lower high, and we're probably going to be coming down at a minimum to retest this median and this meme line, and then we're actually going to put into practice if we're going to confirm this as a lower high or not. The confirmation of this as your next lower high is going to be closing below. It's a little bit low, closing below this wick low, which is also around this 38.2%. That's the bad part of when you get these candles that bounce a lot, and then you wait for it to go significantly up before you take your long, because then your stop loss is a lot lower than your than your entry. But if you were to wait for the long into somewhere around this median, then your stop loss would be a lot closer to your entry. You would be risking about, well, still 9%. That's still a good amount. If you use anything more than like 3x leverage, you're taking a decent haircut.
Yep.
Daily is also looking quite toppy, going along with that idea of that short-term pullback, which could end up being a reversal, and momentum is starting to freshly flip to the downside, getting below the moving average. Hasn't quite confirmed yet, hasn't closed below that moving average just yet. And there's also bearish divergence on the daily because we made a high right here, lower high, while price action made a higher high. And the confirmation of that bearish divergence is going to be getting any close below about 2,558, which we are a decent amount below right now. And your easy target off of that bearish divergence is going to be somewhere between your median and your 100 EMA. That gives you a range between 2,433 and like 2,395. Although if that happens, I'm going to be like, if you put in the number range, around like 70% towards the idea that we're going to break down. It still is possible that we do hold this 100 EMA. We could even go all 100 EMA. We can also go all the way down to the 38.2% and still be bullish. It's just going to be a lot less likely. And if you do close below this 38.2%, that's going to be confirmation for me that we're going to break down. I'm going to be looking for first a move towards somewhere around this wick low. I do think it's going to bounce on the first attempt, but I think that bounce is going to put in a lower high, and then at that point, I think we're going to capitulate. And the downside of getting one of these massive busting action moves is there's nothing but air in this zone. There's no support. So your next support zone is below $2,000 at around like $1,800. Go to the 4 hour.
It's like 1750, which was a big zone for a long time.
4 hours also within the bearish control zone. It's trying to flip back up, but it hasn't quite done it just yet. While volatility is still expanding, and the jewel is very good, not very, but quite a little, quite close to giving us a sell signal with the pink crossing below the yellow. This will probably happen in around like maybe 3 closes, unless the bulls can manage to turn it around and hold this 100 EMA on a 4-hour closing basis around 24.83. You can close that, hold over that on a closing basis, then you should see a bounce into the 200, and a close over the 200 would confirm for me the local bottom, and then I would be expecting a move into the median around 2,571. Getting a close over about 2,603 would be confirmation for me that we're very likely going to break E. Or side. Oh fuck! I need to get this off. It's getting a little hot. I need to move Luna too. She is a heater. Makes me feel so bad to get her off me.
I
Looks so
know.
cute sleeping on my legs.
It's like when Beanie sleeps on top of me. I'm like, he's 800 million pounds, but he's so cute. I might as well just let him crush me to death.
It's like in Futurama, death by Snoo Snoo.
That's yeah. You want to get snoo? No, yes.
And all the corpses are just, or the bones are just smiling, and one
Happy.
of them's got a cigarette. I never watched Futurama, but I watched that one episode.
Really? I think Futurama's great.
And it's not my type of humor.
I liked it a lot. I haven't seen it in a long time.
So we're starting to see something quite promising on
Mhm.
ETH BTC. Very interesting. Very interesting. Because if you look at the jewel right now, this is the first time in ETH BTC history that we're putting in a God mode buy signal. Huh. And if we put in with the vertical line our results from the buy signals on the jewel, especially within the bearish control zone, let's see what happens.
Well, it's the only one, right?
We have one more buy signal in the bearish control zone.
Oh yeah, you're below that line on the 40.
And now this one should be more powerful because we've got the God mode signal in the background.
And you're
God
coming from
mode
a
on
lower place. Yeah.
Yeah, and God mode on the monthly. Hold on, my left AirPod stopped giving me sound. Let me put it back in the case and then put it back on. Here, all right, there we go. Put it right there. And I think this one is too early on in its history.
Yeah. Those are interesting dates.
So this was a move up of about 15.5%. They're all lower highs. Probably this time is not different. 16%, very close.
Interesting.
But then again, this time you have a God mode signal.
But what is the red EMA? What's that?
That's the 5.
That seems to be the first time it's taking it in fucking forever, no?
Yeah. And as of now, you've moved up about 12.8%. Very interesting. Very close to that number. Did it front run it? Maybe. But that's just for funsies, take it to about 15, 16%. Roughly to our 9 EMA. Very interesting. There is currently a silver cross to the downside, and we haven't yet tested that 9 EMA. So that still would just be a bearish retest. And we're trading right now. We're just getting a bounce off of our lows from 2020. So it makes sense to get a bounce from this zone. Which one is a higher high? This one here. Let's take this. Yeah, and the golden pocket puts us right at that 55 EMA for the silver cross. You would need to go up
To 4,000,
like
basically.
96% on ETH
Yeah.
BTC. Kind of unlikely, to put it lightly. Let's see on the RSI, anything here. And you're making lower lows. Price is making lower lows. Nope. Not even possibility of a bullish divergence. The only way to make a bullish divergence here is that price has to make a lower low, and then the RSI has to make a higher low. So even for that, you would have to make a lower low. 2 weeks also giving you the God mode buy signal on the jewel. 2 week is trying to reclaim the 5 EMA, but it's struggling to even do that. You reclaim it, immediately lose it, reclaim it, immediately lose it. What we want to see is a reclaim of the 9. The 9 is the one that's been holding us down this entire way through. We can close over the 9. Will we have any divergence? Nope. This is a never so slight. Is it a lower low? I can't really see. It's very hard to tell. Can you tell if this is a lower low or not?
Which one?
This
Hang
one
on.
right over here.
It seems like it. Go back and put the line literally on it. Oh, maybe not.
Yeah, you can't tell if this is a higher low or a lower low.
Can you expand it even a little bit more? Let me see. Don't move it. I think it's the same, dude.
Like same exact level?
Yeah.
I think it might be an
It
ever so
might be
slightly
just
lower low.
a super tiny lower low. Super tiny.
Yeah, so then that's no divergence. Only a bullish divergence if it was a higher low. And keep in mind, on all of these buy signals on the jewels, volatility is contracting. And there's no divergences. Very interesting. Oh, I see one. There's many drives of hidden bearish divergence active.
On the 6th day.
And you have once again lost all of your EMAs, deviation of all of these EMAs. And this divergence is going to be active as long as you are closing below 0.02310. And your next target on the divergence is the neutral zone, which right now is at, not really going to tell you because of all the decimal points. Fuck.
Your favorite.
Yeah. Mi mejor.
Mi favorito.
Mi favorito. Huh? 4 hours got many drives of bearish divergence. This is going to be active as long as you are closing below 0.02317. And volatility is currently contracting with that bearish divergence. However, it does look to me like this volatility is going to start expanding soon. Confirmation is going to be either a close below this 55 or any tick below 0.02231. Now I will switch to momentum chart. I really wish I could access BTCC so I could manage my Solana short, but my phone is broken and my computer.
Oh, well, that is a problem. Is there no way of plugging the phone and having a virtual phone on your computer? I haven't plugged in my phone to my computer in a very long time. I don't know if that's a feature or not.
It might be, actually, to be honest.
I would look into that.
Quarterly on Ethereum is still pointed heavily to the downside, freshly to the downside, actually, rejecting the bullish control zone. And it's going to be flipped down below 3,100. Monthly is getting fresh volatility contraction with momentum flipped to the downside, and it's going to be flipped down as long as we're below 2,082. 2 week is also pointed. 2 week is pointed to the upside freshly, with volatility contracting, and it's going to be pointed up above 1682. With volatility is very likely going to start expanding if you can get a close over 2,880, which will also give you bullish divergences across the board. Weekly is currently freshly flipped to the downside with volatility contraction, some hopium for a higher low, and it is going to be flipped down below 2,570. 2569 for the culture. 5 days also freshly flipped down with volatility contraction, and it's going to be flipped down below 2,774. 2 days currently freshly flipped up. Volatility is contracting. Volatility very likely expands once you get a close over about 2,000, same number, 2,880, or a reclaim of this 200 SMA. And right now you will be pointed up as long as you're above 2418. And you're very close to breaking out of the bearish control zone. On this next close, you will break out of the bearish control zone. Daily is currently looking topped. Right now, momentum is currently pointed to the upside with volatility expanding, and you will be expanding pointed up as long as you're closing over 24.52. And right now, ideally, the bulls want to see a daily close over that 200 SMA, which has been resistance for so long. You want to see that close over there. The odds right now are higher of getting that close over that 200 SMA because we do have currently 2 closes above it, but we don't have the third. The third close above that 200 SMA is going to be confirmation for me that resistance has been flipped to support, and we're very likely going to spring up from there. But right now we are slightly below it. We have to wait until the closure. What goes along with that probability that momentum going to the upside and making it more likely that we hold this 200 is that we also have the derp of life. 4 hours currently, however, freshly flipped to the downside, making it a lot more likely that the daily is going to lose the 200 and it's going to flip to the downside of momentum. Confirmation of for the 4 hour breakdown is going to be either a close below the 200 SMA or a tick below about 2,374. Right now, momentum is pointed down with a derp of death as long as you're trading below 2606. 2 hours also pointed to the downside, and it's going to be pointed down as long as you're trading below about $2,486. Take a quick look back through all the time frames and then look at the overview. All right. On the high time frames, Ethereum is looking very different than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is looking quite bullish, whereas Ethereum is looking quite bearish. It's put in a very toppy monthly candle. The quarterly is freshly flipped to the downside, rejecting the bullish control zone. It's rejecting our 9 and 5 EMAs on the quarterly. The monthly has that topping candle, deviating our 9 EMA, once again below our 9 and 21 EMA. 2 week is, however, currently flips to the upside, but you are very close to getting a silver cross to the downside. And you're currently once again below your 21 and 55, and as long as you keep closing below that 55, that silver cross is going to happen. If you can manage to close above and avoid that silver cross, very, very, very likely you will see some massive busting action after that silver cross is not confirmed and avoided, and they separate. And the confirmation for busting action in a different method would be getting a daily close over about $2,881 right now. And also more what's the word? Hopium for the bears on Ethereum is that momentum is pointed up with volatility currently pointed down. And that the weekly has already flipped down and 5-day is currently flipped down. Basically, every time frame below has currently flipped to the downside, all the way down to the 4-hour, which is now also flipped to the downside and is on the verge of a breakdown. Right now, the 4-hour will break down if you get any close below about below the 100 EMA, or if you get any tick below about 2,374. And your targets for that breakdown are going to be getting a bounce somewhere between 2,200 and like $2,100. Although I do think that bounce is going to be a bearish retest and a failure, and I think you're going to find your next like significant area of support somewhere around $1,800 to $1,700. The invalidation of all of this is going to be getting a daily close over about $2,881, or a weekly close about $2,681. Either one of those two things, and I'm going to be flipped more bullish. But right now, I am leaning more towards the bearish side.
Makes sense. Very much like Solana. The Ethereum's nothing changes. It's kind of like the same bullshit. Sounds great. Sounds fucking great. Well, go enjoy your Friday. Happy 4th of July. Anything else you want to say before you go?
Nope. Aside from I'm completely bewildered and gobsmacked, and I have no idea how the fuck my phone broke, but
good luck with that shit, dude. Keep me posted, please. Probably through Alex's phone.
Will do. Muchas gracias.
Have a good one. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Hasta luego and buenas tardes, muchachos.
Hasta luego. Vale, ya mandamos a Farhan a descansar. Es viernes 4 de julio. Damas y caballeros, mercados cerrados, bolsas cerradas, no hay acciones moviéndose, por lo que estamos analizando esto, lo que nos da más probabilidades de hacer una lanita, bro. Oye, una lanita no me caería mal. Me pongo Ethereum en la mensual. Quiero que vean que igual que Solana, Ethereum desde acá, bueno, en realidad no, porque Solana sí en el 2025 hizo un nuevo alto histórico, 24, no me acuerdo, en diciembre o enero, algo así. Ahora, Ethereum hizo su alto histórico en noviembre, como todo cripto, y desde ahí nos dejó este delicioso doble techo en el pecho en los 4,106. Eso lo hizo en marzo del 2024 y también en diciembre del 2024. Y desde entonces habíamos tenido este bajón y ahora tenemos este bajón con un bajo más bajo. La cosa por acá se pone interesante. ¿Por qué? Ethereum está por debajo en la mensual y puedes ver, este es un doji de mierda, este es un doji de mierda también. Le encanta a cripto jugar estos juegos tontitos. ¿Qué es un doji? Es una de estas velas que tiene las patas largas para arriba y para abajo y el cuerpecito gordo en medio. Y ahora pueden ver también, este es un doji donde está el precio, solo apenas si se ve esa vela. Lo tiene bien escondidito, digamos. Pero pueden ver que nos rechazó Ethereum tal cual como Solana en febrero, igualito. Cayó, perdió el promedio del 9, 21, 34 y el 55 aguantó. Siguiente mes, venimos a retestar el 34 y nos mandó al pito por debajo del 55. Siguiente mes, vámonos hasta el promedio del 100 y aquí, ahora estos son mensuales, entonces son significantes. De aquí, una recuperación brutal, podrías contar esto como todo el SFP, se fue para acá arriba. La cosa es, y saben ustedes que nosotros vemos estas tablas diciendo, si en la mensual no estoy por encima del promedio del 5, del 9, no estoy en una tendencia alcista. Si estoy por debajo, estoy en una tendencia bajista. Mi promedio del 9 es la línea azul y hemos estado por debajo todo este tiempo, ¿ok? Que no los engañen, tíos. Acá voy a poner esto. Lo que también notamos con este movimiento de ETH en la mensual fue que llegamos al 78%. ETH ha llegado hasta la zona del 97% antes, en junio del 2022, que fue el fondo, creo que fue el fondo del fondo acá. Sí. Y por ahora no estamos ni siquiera retesteando el 88.3% y olvidemos el 95% en los $700. Por ahora, Estamos justamente acá, por debajo de la línea meme también, que tiene significancia para mí. Si no estás por encima de los 2,550, tienes más preferencia, más probabilidades a irte una vez más para abajo. Y abajo, la primera zona serían 2,434 con el promedio del 34. Y mi segunda zona de interés sería mi promedio del 55 en los 2,181. Si no usas eso y digamos no quieres usar el 55 en tu análisis, lo que tienes es la línea meme en los 2100. Si la rompes para abajo, vas a tener esta otra línea meme que es lo que te salva en la tendencia alcista de todo este movimiento. Déjame quito el HPDR para que se vea claro. Porque en realidad Ethereum está haciendo bajos, bajos más altos, bajos más altos, bajos más altos a quien le duela. Con que no nos llevemos esto, que suena difícil, porque esta es la primera vez que lo viene a testear, el promedio del 100 en la mensual en total. Con que no nos llevemos este wick de acá, en los 2000, son 1380, algo así más o menos. Se los pongo acá a ver. 1385.7. Con que no te lo lleves, todo está bien. Deberías de continuar reconsolidando e irte para arriba. Por ahora, nosotros vamos a dar un poco más de preferencia a que esto va a continuar cayendo. Vamos a la de 2 semanas. Voy a quitar mi chingadera esta. 2 semanas también. Esto ayuda bastante a verlo. Estás a nada de tener este cruce plateado a la baja. De tener este cruce plateado a la baja, tu siguiente objetivo natural debería ser el promedio del 9, pero normalmente para retestearlo, pero tu promedio del 9 está aquí abajo en los 2,155. De perder los 2,155, tu siguiente objetivo sería la media en los 2,000, y de no poder aguantar los 2,000, el S&P 200 justamente en los 1,574, trayéndote de vuelta a esta zona. Pero si ya estás volviendo a regresar acá, muy probablemente vayas a hacer un bajo más bajo. Y también el HPDR moviéndose como se ha movido, te está diciendo que está abriendo la posibilidad de estos $878 otra vez. Esto es donde tienes que tener el ojo peladito. Este cruce plateado ocurre. Vamos a ver. Y tienes cuánto a la baja. Un 21% más a la baja. Digamos que el cruce plateado ocurre ahí. Te pone tal cual en esta línea meme en los 1954. Con que eso aguante, que es esta línea roja, deberías de estar del lujo y del otro lado. Aparte tiene sentido eso, porque aparte cuando baje los 2000 la gente va a decir, ya se va a ir otra vez a 1500 porque probablemente se va a ir a... ¿Ok? Así que atentos con esa jugada psicológica. Volatilidad está contrayendo, no nos dice nada. Vamos a la semanal. Volatilidad está contrayendo, la media está arriba, tenemos el rechazo de la media en la vela anterior, el toque de esto, la media abre un poco más arriba y ahora estamos aquí abajo. Tenemos el promedio del 255 aquí abajo. Ojo, 21 y 55 también están acá. Tienes un cruce ya plateado donde el 21 se fue por debajo y el 55 está arriba. Esto quiere decir que cualquier retesteo del promedio del 9 acá debería ser bajista y el promedio del 9 está justamente un poco arriba, $1 arriba, 2,486. Eso nos da una más alta probabilidad de venir a la parte baja de la zona azul una vez más en los 2,236 y de no aguantar 2,116 o 2,105, que es más bien el 50%, y el 61% va perfecto con mi idea de los 1,900. Diaria, habías intentado, esta línea morada es tu SMA 200. Lo habías intentado pasar, pero estás haciendo claramente un SFP. De no poder aguantar esta zona, tal cual, si no aguantas los 2,475 y los pierdes, tu siguiente objetivo serían los 2,437, después 2,390 y de no aguantar 2,327. La cosa es, más bien, si eres alcista, lo que quieres es poder estar por encima de esta línea meme en los 2,500, 2,510. Si puedes aguantar por acá y consolidar y luego llevarte este máximo en los 2,624, esto olvida lo que estamos hablando, que sea bajista y vas a empezar a consolidar para acá. ¿Qué nos dice si estamos mal? Porque nosotros consideramos que Ethereum va más para abajo que para arriba en estos momentos. Es, si tienes cualquier tipo de vela yéndose a 2880, esta zona, cualquiera, o sea, si das un putazo así de en chinga, instantáneamente alcista. ¿Cuál es la siguiente zona? 2600 acá. Si llegas a llevarte en cierre semanal este alto, también nos volvemos alcista. Pero por ahora tiene toda la cara de que esto va a dar continuación para abajo y simplemente viendo lo que está pasando con Solana, la dominancia de Bitcoin, lo que está haciendo Bitcoin, etcétera, tiene cara de que esto puede continuar un poco para abajo, crear un nuevo bajo más alto, muy probablemente. ¿Dónde está mi línea meme esa roja? Está interesante. Déjame quito el HPDR también. Lo que tiene cara es, si no podemos empezar a trepar por arriba de los 2550, vamos muy probablemente a visitar los 2100. De visitar los 2100, esperaríamos que ahí aguantáramos. Les voy a dar un visual de lo que creemos que va a pasar. Y acá debería de hacer esto. O si llegas a romper esto y luego esto para abajo, este va a ser tu objetivo. Este rango va a ser tu objetivo. Por ahora Ethereum se ve igual de bajista que todas las altcoins. No hay mucho que buscarle. Por más que sea el dinero de JP Morgan Chase, en el par con Ethereum y la dominancia de Bitcoin, pueden ver acá, no me acuerdo cómo acabé poniendo esta línea acá, pero tiene cara que empieza a aguantar. Por lo que yo no me pondría a buscar que Ethereum se vaya a hacer nuevos mínimos históricos, o sea, no históricos, pero nuevos mínimos de acá comparados. Yo creo que la zona de los 2000, de los 1750 debería de ser como básicamente acá. No, lo pondría acá. Esto debería de ser lo que aguante en el último caso, los 1700, 1800. Y de no aguantar esta zona y te llevas los 1500 para abajo, empezaría a verse muy, muy mal Ethereum y pues esa sería la oportunidad máxima para entrar antes de todo el desvergue de JP Morgan, etcétera. Así que ahí lo tienen, no está tan complicado. Oye, brother, no está tan complicado, honestamente. Y muy feliz viernes para todos ustedes. 3 horas y media, perdón, lo tuvimos que cortar 30 minutos antes, simplemente porque no hay tanto que analizar con el mercado cerrado. Y además, esto de estar volviéndome más viejo y perder la visión no me está ayudando nada. Les mando un fuerte abrazo a todos. Pórtense muy bien. Espero que hayan sacado algo de esto y nos vemos muy pronto. Bueno, nos vemos, espero que mañana en un Nadie Me Preguntó. Simplemente no hay nada de qué platicar, güey. No quiero forzarlo. No quiero forzarlo, brother. Todo es lo mismo. Un abrazo.